And welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport, here for the season finale of the Pro-Am Championship. I'm your host, Mathew Duffin, joined in the commentary box by Dan Davis. For the final time this season, we're expecting 14 cars out there on the grid. There is only 13 out there at the moment. Two drivers, Justin Winter and Dennis Hansen, have qualifying and race plans. And we're expecting Robert Smith and the Jacqueline for race 2. Paul Williams is possibly a doubt for this one. He didn't message me, so yeah, he's hopefully going to be home in time for this race and for this one. But it's the final of Pro-Am, as we said, and what a season it has been. Max Mulder has obviously taken that Drivers' Championship, along with BSP taking the crown in the Constructors' standings. But there's a lot to play for tonight. There is chances for Richie Michelle, for Tim Bentinck, for John Gooday, Diz and Justin Winter all to finish inside that top 2 or 3 spots. It's going to be an interesting night's worth of racing to see what will happen and who will be able to get the most out of it. Dan, good evening. We're looking forward to tonight. This should be a fantastic night's worth of racing. Valencia, a very good track really to provide a lot of entertainment and a lot of action.
Yeah, definitely so. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. And yeah, this is going to be a less dramatic night from the night before, but it would still be there's still prizes up for grabs here for some of the guys, especially Richie Michelle wanting to try and hold on to that second place in the championship, but Tim Bentinck is trying to hold on to that. But yeah, Valencia has been a great final round to come to, Matt. Last night it brought the drama, and I think tonight it's going to be more about who's going to be the outright fastest. Is looking pretty quick, as is Richie Michelle. But it's been a dramatic Pro-Am season with ups and downs, and yeah, it's come so quickly, the end of the season. Yeah,
it has came so quickly, and it is yeah, 12 weeks of fantastic action and thrills and spills, and well, you can't look much further than Max Mulder. He's had a pretty good year, hasn't he? Obviously, he won the championship last week at Zolder, and he's done well all season, hasn't he, to maintain that championship order. But there's been a lot of other drivers. You know, Tim was new to the championship. Richie Michelle really came, you know, good throughout the season. Justin Winter, Diz has been a shock package, I think, this season. We've got to see the Mustang in full flow for the first time and see what the Mustang can really do. And it's had its ups and downs. It's provided a lot of drama, has this season. But let's see what will happen. Good evening to Fiore's Grandad and Gary Clarble in the chat, who are there already at the moment, cheering on Gary Clarble as well. Great news, positive news about him today. He messaged me saying that he's managed to be on the steering wheel for the first time since his operation on his elbow. So that's great news to hear, that recovery process has started and that he's on that road to recovery now in terms of possibly getting back out on the track next season.
Definitely so. Not long now. Usually a break, in a sense, especially a bone break. Things take around about 6 weeks. So we'll see you next season there, Gary. And don't say you won't be able to, because I've broken many bones and I know it's exactly 6 weeks. So we'll see you soon. But no, it's nice to hear. And that you said, going back to what we were saying earlier, Matt, there has been ups and downs. But the man to beat this season has been Max Mulder. Has been a Pro-Am champion in the past, obviously on a different platform, but here tonight on ACC he's finally done it and got the monkey off his back. But we'll see how they get on next season in Pro, because again, that's a completely whole different ball game. That is.
It is a different ball game. Good evening to Skeletor in the chat. It is a totally different game in that Pro category, and they're going to find their feet in there. One piece of news we can bring you tonight is we can confirm the stewards have acted pretty quickly as well, to be fair, to be able to make sure that the GT4 stewarding has been done. And as Dan Davies said last night, that all results was provisional. We can confirm today that yes, not all the stewarding has been done for that GT4 race, but one thing we can confirm is that Sky Schundelmeyer is your champion in that one. So congratulations to Sky on his first ever championship at SimPlay Motorsport and on the incredible win that he had. He's had a good season in them GT4s, and you know, he's done pretty well in the GT3s as well, so long may his form continue in future series as well here at SimPlay Motorsport. But we turn our attention to this Valencia circuit tonight, and it's going to be an interesting one. A few cars up and down the grid gonna look to do a lot at the moment. It is currently, though, Richie Michelle, your fastest from Diz, with Max Mulder, Tim Bentinck, Brian Craig excuse me, Mirko Ricci, all within a second. Naval Gomez just off the back of him. Not many cars out on the circuit. Like we said, we are getting more in for race 2. A couple after surf bans and others can't make for this second race, for this first race. So a shorter grid meaning that drivers can do a lot of work in this first race and score some points to really help out in that championship. If we want to go through the championship standings pretty quickly, it's Max Mulder who's already your champion from Richie Michelle with Tim Venting in third, John Gooday's fourth with Diz in fifth, Justin Winter from Brian Craig, Esteban Burrow-Bex with Robert Smith ninth, Sam rounds out the top 10, Dennis Hansen P11 with Mark Tucker in 12th, Paul Williams is 13th from Diego Flores, Naval Gomez from DJ Phil, Kieran Argent. Then it is Darren Bell, who was hoping to be here tonight. He's had some work done to his house. He's been staying in a hotel for a couple of days. Not able to get back. I think he's back home in time, but isn't able to take part tonight. Then it is Cranky Duckhead. Senna Herwiser from Fat Bloke. Dean from Michael. Mirko Ritchie. Then it is Graham John Andrews, the Jackal Romeo. Lund, Dean Wasaki, Nuke Waste, Andrew Taylor in this championship fight. Or in this championship this season, should I say. And then in that Constructors' Championship, then it is BSP Racing. As we know, they have taken the Constructors' Championship from the night of Greasy Bandits, who have confirmed that second place. Team Merlo versus Richie Corsa for P3 and 4 with Stage 2 Motorsport. So Burrow-Bex will be hoping that Paul Williams gets in for both races. He had a good race last week. It was a bit unfortunate maybe to not come away with that P5 due to incident in the session, which is a shame. But yeah, they'll hopefully be able to take the fight to Richie Corsa with Team Merlo. Team FBR P5 from FSO Junior Racing Team. Solo driver tonight with no DJ Phil. He's away in Switzerland. Retroactive from Forever Forward, the First Independence, and Vorta Racing, Cool Shot Racing, and Greasy Bandits Junior bringing up the rear. Damn, the grid is set, and it is the Cranky Duckhead on pole from Kieran Argent. That could be a good... We said that Argent had his best chance at Hungaroring to win a race. This could now be even better for him.
It could, but also I think the Mustang is still going to struggle here. There's a lot of, yes, there's quite a lot of straights and a lot of opportunities for the Mustang to out-drag a few cars, but I do still think the corners will hurt him quite a bit around here. But it is a Ford versus Mustang, Honda versus Mustang fight at the front, but anything can happen, and with the championship pretty much over and done with, it is all about who finishes the season on a high, basically.
Yeah, it is. End on a high, move into next season. Obviously, what cars will drivers be in? Who will return to the grid? And what faces are we going to see? We're going to see Kieran stay in that Ford Mustang, Dan. We know it's been a bit of a difficult car all season to drive. Do we think he'll stay in it? What do we think he'll sort of do as he looks to come through?
I think we'll just have to see how it all pans out, really. I think drivers will be interested to change cars, change just their feel, and obviously with the bop kicking in as well, some drivers may opt to think they won't want a slower car for the bop. Who knows? But we'll just have to see what these guys choose. They're the ones who are going to be in the driver's seat. They're going to be the ones going throughout the season, and at the end of the day, they've got to feel comfortable in these cars. If they don't, then it's definitely always going to be a struggle for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it will always be a struggle for the rest of the season. So it is going to be interesting to see what comes next season, who is where, who is still with us, who has decided to return, or whatever the case may be. But we roll away now with Cranky Duckhead on pole from Kieran Argent, Naval Gomez P3 from Diego Flores, and it is Mark Tucker, Esteban Burrow-Bex, Brian Craig from Diz, with John Gooday from Tim Venting, Richie Michelle from Max Mulder, Mirko Ritchie at the back. That seems to have glitched due to the fact that certain drivers haven't been able to turn up. I believe that's Paul Williams, who hasn't obviously been able to get into the lobby, so that's glitched out Mirko to the back of the grid. I don't think he's going to be too worried about that one. He'll probably be able to stay out of any first or second corner carnage, because turn one here, bit of a tricky corner. The pit exit down is going to be one to watch tonight.
Yeah, definitely so. It's an interesting exit as well. It's going to be it's a fast flowing corner, so and it's quite easy to go over that white line, so we'll see how these guys get on with that. But yeah, it should be interesting, and I'm excited to see how some of these cars get on. This is going to be a first chance for the pros to see what car looks strong around here, and with it being quite important for the pros tomorrow night, it's we'll see what happens.
Yeah, going to be an interesting one to see indeed. It's going to be a fascinating night's worth of racing as they come through in towards the middle sector now. Who else is in the chat? Good evening to PN Motorsport as well in the chat, who's yeah, going to be looking to rebuild next season. Obviously we have the endurance race coming up in just a month. In fact, it's the 21st today, so in a month's time we've got the endurance race coming up, the 4 hours of Spa coming through on the 21st of September. That'll be brought to you live, obviously an hour earlier than the previous endurance start time, so it took me the extra hour long. The penultimate race of the endurance championship as well, so going to be interesting to see what happens in that one as we make our way towards the final couple of corners. Now, Dan, who's your money on?
Ooh, I'm going Diz on this one.
You're going Diz. I'm going to give Argent a shout. Why not? Let's try somebody different, see what will happen in this race. And here we go. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, the subscribe button as well. We're 3 subscribers away from that magical 750, which means we'd have gained near enough 100 subscribers in the season. We want to hit that goal by tomorrow night, so make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and hit that bell to be notified when we are live, because for the penultimate round of the season, race 23 of this 24 race calendar is green and go, and it is a decent start from Cranky Duckhead. Kieran Argent really hasn't got away well. He's already bogged down at the start, manages to stay ahead of Naval Gomez, who's got Diego Flores looking like to come past him. Mark Tucker as well, looking up the inside in towards turn 1. Burra Bex has gone around the outside of all of them, and I believe Kieran Argent did take the lead of this race, who's gone right around the outside of the Cranky Duckhead at turn 1. Bike fan himself, big Valentino Rossi fan, and well, he'll be pleased to get that move done early. Burra Bex has now got a move done on the Cranky Duckhead, and further down the order, Brian Craig and others, with Richie Michelle having an early off. And who's that? That's car number 8, that's John Goudet, as well as had a moment. He's struggling to get back going.
Yeah, the cameras ain't here very good, as they look like they have a little bit of a coming together, and John Goudet and Richie Michelle both became unstuck in that one. And as they all start to work their way through the order, it is Diz, though, who has also had a moment himself. He's dropped down the order also. So,
yeah,
but it is Argent, though, leading the way.
Max Mulder and Mirko Ritchie have also been caught up. Saw yellow flags around their names, have also been caught up in incidents. So not sure what happened, but it is Argent from Burra Bex who leads the way at the moment with the Cranky Duckhead P3. And I see what you mean about the cameras. Just do not want to move, not the best cameras around this circuit. Let's just try something, a little tactic that you told me about. So if we go like that, and then we're just going to change to the secondary camera and come back out. That should give us the alternate cameras. Probably should have done that in the practice session. There we go. That one looks a little bit better then. But it is Kieran Argent from that of Burra Bex coming down the start straight. This will be where that Mustang will get that grunt, and we'll be able to just pull away from the McLaren ever so slightly. Down the start straight they come. Cranky Duckhead is P3 with P4 being the Ferrari of Tim Venting. P5 is Mark Tucker. Excuse me. P6 is then, P5 is Brian Craig. So what has happened to Mark Tucker? He's just tumbled down the standings to P10.
Burra Bex is way off. Esther and Burra Bex got right up the rear wing of Kieran Argent now and just gone flying off the circuit there. And he's dropped down the order a little bit, but he's not lost any places. But Tim Venting with a little bit of damage to the front end of his car. But a lot of cars dropping down the order here. And yeah, as Argent now was losing the gap to Esther and Burra Bex, but now he's been caught quite quickly by him.
Yeah, was being caught quite quickly as Tim Venting's now on the back of Cranky Duckhead, looking to get up the inside of the Honda. Manages to get the move done. Cranky had a bit of a slide out of the next corner, but Cranky's trying to fight back on Tim here through that little left-hand kink. Can't do so now, and Tim managed to make that move stick. Good battle here behind Diego Flores with Mark Tucker and Diz all involved in this fight as well. And interesting to see it come through the hairpin, and not able to do so there. And now Mark Tucker actually gets the move done on Diego Flores. So not sure what happened to Diego, but he's also lost out to that of Diz. And John Goudet now trying to get past Mirko Ritchie, still down the back. Richie Michelle on the back then of Brian Craig coming up towards the last hairpin. They come now. Going to be interesting to see if Richie Michelle goes for that gap on the inside. It does open up. The track's quite wide here, Dan, but you're always sort of braking on a bend.
Yeah, you are sort of kind of braking on a bend. That's when Burra Bex straight into the pits, and if you're good with your braking and your trail braking especially, you should be all right around here. But Kieran Argent still leading the way. He's got quite a healthy gap over Tim Venting now, which is 2.6, and Tim obviously want to try and get himself up into the points as much as he possibly can and finish second in the championship. But right now, it's a few cars in the pits. Richie Michelle, like I said, and John Goudet coming in, and Mirko Ritchie, who's got major damage to the front end of his McLaren. Not sure where he's hit, but Argent's still able to keep that lead at this stage.
As Diz manages to go up the inside there of Mark Tucker, and that's another place done for Diz. Naval Gomez as well. He was on the back of Richie Michel, but Richie Michel has pitted, as did Burrabex, John Godet and Mirko Ritchie. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out the pits. We imagine Burrabex will come out the pits as Tim Bentinck's now already within a second of Kieran Argent. And Argent's just got to be slow in, fast out, because that Mustang will pull him on the straights. But Tim Bentinck in that Ferrari, fastest start of the race and trying to do the business here already as Burrabex and Richie Michel go green. Burrabex is off the limiter and away. And that is exactly what you want. Kieran goes a little deep through the right-hander. And the cameras, I don't know if they've changed back to their other ones, but have gone back to being a little poor. And yeah, Kieran Argent here is now trying to keep on this hunt of staying in front of Tim Bentinck. He was ahead of Max Mulder, don't forget, at Hungary for quite a while and got tapped into the wall by Max Mulder. Now he's got to stay ahead of the other BSP driver in this race. As he's not, he's going to pull straight into the pit lane. He's going to look for that undercut and possibly reacting to Burrabex.
Possibly so, but I think his main fight would have been Tim Bentinck there. He was a man on the move and looking to try and do something with the lead, and as you can see, he's into the pits, and I think Tim now will benefit quite a lot from that.
Yeah, clear air will mean that Tim's probably going to pick up the benefit of it. Damage that front end, so it's going to be interesting to see if he pits in this race as Diz is all over the back of Gomez, just looking a little forward. That looked like Max Mulder had a run on Cranky Duckhead. He does, just slightly coming through the left hand and now back into the right hand. Cranky Duckhead has that inside line, just make a little bit of contact there. That's put Max just over the curb through the next right hander. There you go, and Max going to try and hang it around the outside all over the curb again. He'll have the inside line for the next corner, and that's a good move from Max Mulder. The cameras have definitely changed back to what they was a moment ago. Cranky Duckhead does lose. Yeah, Cranky Duckhead does lose out there. So Valencia's camera's not the best. That's noted. Dizzo on the back of Gomez. He was the quickest, or he was one of the quick guys in practice. Richie Michel obviously being the quickest and being the man out front. Now Kieran Argent's just left the pit lane. Burrabex has got through, so showing that the undercut, Dan, pretty strong here, because Burrabex was just over a second behind Kieran Argent, and he's come out ahead of Kieran Argent in the pit stop. Kieran comes out just ahead of Richie Michel. So showing that the undercut is strong, and Kieran Argent just not being able to do that job over that one lap.
Yeah, well, Burrabex with that clean air done the job that he needed to do and got in front. So yeah, that's job done for Burrabex. A possible win on his name here as he's trying to extend the gap. But either way, it's still Tim Bentinck leading the way with the fastest lap. Max Mulder's in second. Third is the Cranky Duckhead. Gomez is in fourth, or was in fourth, as he's been passed by Diz now. Diz move up into the fourth place position, and not too far behind is Tucker, as Gomez with that straight line advantage in the Mustang. Look up the inside of turn one, but no position able to get through there.
No, he has to stay behind. He's got damage on the rear of him, I've just noticed, in this race as he nearly clatters into the back of Diz. The camera's picking him up, come flying through the next part of the circuit. But yeah, Burrabex gets the jump over Kieran Argent. And what is that gap? It is quite significant, actually, that gap. It's 5.4 seconds, so huge on the undercut part for Esteban Burrabex. What can Gomez do, though, like Dan says, on the back of Diz? Diz will now be hunting after the Cranky Duckhead, who is 1.8 seconds just in front of him. So it's going to be an interesting one for sure to see what will happen in this race. In terms of that strategy, because Tim's now got the free air, Dan, and Tim's able to lap as quick as he wants to. And, well, really could sort of bring him back into not being undercut by Burrabex.
Yeah, possibly so, but it's, like I said, that damage on the front end of his car. He's actually dropped it. Tim Bentinck's had a moment on his own. He's dropped it all on his own. And that jump that he's going to try and have on Burrabex is probably gone now after that little moment.
Cranky's just dropped it in the wall. Diz got within 0.8 of a second, and Cranky at the same part of the circuit has just had a moment all on his own, and into the wall he goes. It wasn't overly hard as Tim and Max both stay out, but that's going to put Diz up into P3. And while Diz has some clear air now, he thinks I'm going to pit.
Yeah, definitely so. This is the time to pit. This is time to react and see what points he can gain out of this. And right now he's got a few cars with a bit of damage, a bit of work needing doing on their cars, and Diz possibly able to gain a few positions here. Cranky Duckhead is now into the pits as the rest of the guys try and work their way through the order as best they can. It's a bit spread out at the minute. Richie Michel and Argent are quite close to one another, actually, so that's come down to 7/10. Right now everyone else pretty spread out at this stage of the race.
Yeah, they are pretty spread out, obviously, on this smaller field. It's 11.5 minutes left to go in this first race. Richie Michel's gap just opening back up over a second to that of Kieran Argent as the Cranky Duckhead came straight into the pits as well. Burrabex is going to come through on the pair of them. Where is Argent coming through that final corner, which is probably one of the more trickier corners on the circuit to get that breaking point bang on and stopped, sorry, and yeah, get it turned in as Sparking Gamer. Good afternoon to you and to Abby Blackford, Skunky, as well as Mike Matthews in the chat. Sparking Gamer saying, saw the Gary in the wall short earlier. Had to be made this week, Sparking. Just had to be done. We did it for Dan when he spun around at Silverstone, so it had to be done here. Diz is out the pits, by the way, just behind, not too far away from that of Richie Michelle, and has jumped Brian Craig by a couple of seconds. So good work there from Diz. Got a couple of cars in front of him, but that just promotes Borough Beck's up one more spot.
Yeah, it does indeed, and Borough Beck's benefiting from that once again. But yeah, Diz has got a bit of work to do now as he's trying to creep onto the back of Argent and Richie Michelle. Richie Michelle being held up by the Mustang, and Argent will want to finish on the podium as Max Mulder and Tim Benting, the two BSP racing boys who have been pretty much dominant pretty much throughout the whole Pro-Am season, are still leading the way. But at this stage, Tim with a bit of damage, Max is catching him.
Well, Tim had
right now,
didn't he? So I wonder if that's just possibly hurt the tyres. I know you said in testing that overheating could possibly be an issue on these tyres on the car. So Tim's maybe got to get his tyres back in check. It's only a 20-minute race, but when you damage him, and you're not going to want to lose that 5 seconds in such a short race. And look at this, Dan, already. Diz now under 2 seconds to Richie Michelle on the back of Kieran Argent.
Yeah, that just shows how much pace that Argent is struggling at the minute in that Mustang, and I did think it was going to struggle around here. He's got knowledge around this circuit, but not enough to keep ahead of the cars around him, and luckily that straight line advantage from the Mustang saves him in turn 1, but he's going to struggle in pretty much every single corner.
Bit of a wiggle there for Richie Michelle over the curb on the exit of turn 1, manages to keep it all together, sticks to the back of Argent, but he's got Diz now right behind him, within at least 1.5 seconds here as they come into the first technical part of the lap. The left-hand kink into the double right-hander. Again, a little twitch there for Richie Michelle, so just running a loose car, probably not being helped by the dirty air of the Ford Mustang in front. So we say good evening to Peaceful Stepdad. And Diz now on a second, so he'll be right there with Richie Michelle come the end of this lap, the way this lap's going. And Richie Michelle just cannot find a way past Kieran Argent as Naval Gomez is into the pits, as is Mark Tucker. So this will be interesting to see now with Diz, where he comes out over Naval Gomez in terms of maybe being held slightly by these two. Not enough at the moment, but he's getting close to that territory of maybe just being held a little bit.
Yeah, maybe so, but the clean air right now would be ideal for him, but oh my God, still watching this crazy fight between Argent and Michelle, and Michelle right up the rear wing of Argent, and there's the mistake. He runs wide into the gravel, and Diz had to check up there just to make sure he didn't run into the back of the Mustang, and he managed to do so very, very well.
He did indeed, but that's allowed Richie Michelle through, and Argent just made that one mistake that's now gives Diz a sniff of an opportunity. I'm just seeing a bit of damage actually on the back of Argent's splitter, so did he run wide? Did he get a bit of a tap from Richie Michelle? Don't think so. Looks like there's damage on the front of Diz's car. So did Diz manage to check up fully, or did he actually just tap the back of Argent like he does there? And they both go into a spin. Argent hangs on for it. Diz goes around. And, well, I think Diz may have caught the back of Argent initially. He now definitely has tagged the back of Argent. Argent loses out to Brian Craig. And Diz is in the gravel trap. That's going to put to bed anything here in race 1 as John Gooday down the order with the cranky Duckhead and Mirko Ritchie. And out front, Max Mulder decides to pull the trigger in the top 3 to pit. Diego Flores, the other driver, yet to pit. And this is going to be interesting now, Max Mulder to Borough Becks, to see where the gap will, be between the two of them when Max pits. Because Max was, it says 8.1, but you're on the limiter before that start line comes around. So going to be interesting. It was about 3 seconds to Tim, so let's see where Borough Becks is in relation of Max Mulder.
Yeah, we'll see indeed, but you know, it's the way the pit stops will fade out. If Max misses his box ever so slightly, and F2M Borough Becks has made a slight mistake, and it's going to go in either one's favour. And Tim, obviously, with the damage on the front end of his car, he's not quite out of danger just yet. But F2M Borough Becks now into the final corner. And that's a good exit, runs down towards the line, and Max still not gone green yet, and I think S2M Borough Becks is looking good here, and across the line he goes, and yeah, he pretty much got that done and dusted there. Max has now gone green, and he exits the pit now.
Looks pretty comfortable as well, that does, for Borough Becks as well. That's a good couple of seconds. Richie Michelle I tell you what, had he not been stuck behind Argent for so long there, he'd have been a bit closer to Max Mulder.
He would have been as well, yeah, he would have been very close. But in this case, just being held up by Argent for too long there, and in the end, it's cost him quite dearly here.
It has indeed, as we say good evening to DJ Phil, who's away on holiday in Switzerland. That's why he's not out there on the circuit tonight. And Naval Gomez now has got that of Mark Tucker, just gaining within a second of him. There he is, just in the background, as Tim Ventic now responds to Max Mulder and comes into the pit. So this will be a crucial pit stop for Tim Ventic, I reckon.
It will indeed, yeah, it definitely will. But I think Esteban Borobek should have him covered, but it is going to be very close. Yeah, but that's if Tim decides not to repair the damage. If he does choose to repair the damage, I think that he'll have a quicker car. Then possibly that might play into action as well.
Yeah, let's have a wait and see what Tim does in this pit stop then. So Tim is stationary. Where is the car 68? Coming towards the final corner now. Tim's pit box is right down by the bottom as well, so he's not got as long on the pit exit to go. But through that final corner comes Esteban Borobek. So we're still watching that fight with Naval Gomez and Mark Tucker. Not really developing at the moment, so we're just going to go to Borobek, as Tim still yet to go green in this race. Goes green now, comes down the pit straight, off the limiter as quick as he possibly can. But Borobek does come through, and you just see there as he just comes onto that little curbing to separate the pit exit and the pit lane. He manages to get ahead of Tim Ventic. This is now going to be a scrap in the final 4.5 minutes for this race win.
It will indeed, and obviously drive-through penalty for Tucker.
Track limits for Mark Tucker, so drive-through penalty for car 23 at the very end of this race. That's going to hurt him. He'll probably lose out to John Gooday. Not sure about the cranky duckhead. And definitely not maybe Mirko Ricci, but game on. Borobek versus Tim. That's a second within that for the race lead.
It is indeed, and I think Esteban Borobek has got the advantage. The dirty air coming from the back of that McLaren will be hurting the Ferrari, and especially with the damage that the Ferrari has as well, it's really going to be doing no favours for Tim. But we'll see what happens. Yes, Emplava, this is race 1, and then I see you in the chat as well. But Diego Flores still not pitted yet, and he's got a minute and 18 to do it, and he's in now.
Yeah, he's in now. Diz sneaks up the inside of Kieran Argent. That is the move done this time for the BMW with a little bit of damage on his car. So that puts Diz up into P7. Already Borobek is coming under pressure from Tim Ventic here for this lead of this race, and Borobek hasn't had a win this season, so we'll be looking for his first win. In fact, has he had a win at SimPlay Motorsport? We'll be looking for his first one, that is for sure. Coming down the start straight then to start the 11th lap of this race. Sorry, the 10th lap of this race. Diego Flores has already started it as he's in the pit lane. Tim just getting a little closer on the back. Clearly has better straight line speed in that Ferrari over the McLaren, but it's coming through turn 1 now. Borobek still leading then over Tim Ventic as they come up towards turn 2 for the 10th time in this race, and it is Borobek from Tim, from Max Mulder. Richie Michel has brought the gap down to Max Mulder. That's now to 4.2 seconds, so he's on a bit of a charge, and everybody coming flying past that of Diego Flores. Naval Gomez has done the same thing. Tucker's in for that excuse me Tucker's in for that drive-through penalty. John Gooday will get past him. Possibly not Playerman though, because Playerman's off of the pit limiter. Let's drop down to Playerman and John Gooday a second. Here comes John up the inside at turn 1. John does get through. We'll go back to the leader of this race.
These two have been going at it for a while, and Tim looking for an opportunity left or right, and he's sending up the inside, and that was a bit of a sender from Tim, and he drops the rear, and that keeps Esteban Borobek still in front. And Esteban Borobek saw that coming from a mile away and manages to avoid contact with the Ferrari driver. It looked like he was a little bit out of control there.
Dan, I think contact was made because Tim's bonnet looks like it's a little bit lifted, so I think Tim's got a bit more front-end damage on that car. We'll have to see the rear of Borobek's car as the camera pans right now. Maybe no contact there, actually. Looking at the left-hand side, maybe no contact at all, but Tim's bonnet does look a little more lifted than it did a moment ago. I saw Tim give him a cheeky flash of the lights. Now, sadly, the camera angles aren't able to show us exactly what happened. It looks like it was downhill on the camera angle, so maybe that's one that we'll see in the steward's room. Don't forget, the new rule for this season as well, Dan, is that penalty points don't carry over, but race bans, quali bans, they do carry over into that new season. So drivers need to be squeaky clean going into that, knowing that bans could still be applied to their penalty record, starting the new season with a qualifying ban or maybe even a race ban. That's not the best way to start your season.
Definitely so, and if you've just been promoted up into pro, definitely not what you want as well. Going into a new season with possibly going up against the fastest cars in the championship is not going to be easy, coming from the back of the pack for sure. But Tim's still on the rear wing of Esteban Borobex, waiting for any opportunity, any mistake from the McLaren driver. But Esteban Borobex, very cool, calm and collected right now, and seems to have it under control, as Tim once again looking to the inside of this left-hander. He seems to be a lot better on the brakes here, but Esteban Borobex this time has got him covered.
Yeah, got him covered at the moment, and I don't think this is going to be the final lap. I think there's going to be one lap left after this one, and it's a battle for the lead. It's also a battle for P9 and 10 between John Gooday and that of Diego Flores. Just going to drop down tight. Diego getting closer to John, not as close as the two leaders are at this stage of the race, and Tim won't want to make a mistake because Max Mulder is only a couple of seconds off the back of these two. Tim running a lot of curb. You see that Ferrari just bouncing around over them sausage curbs. Now Tim on the attack, looking up the inside and towards that final corner, bails out that one, thinks better of it this time around and tries to get that better exit to maybe get it done down the start straight. Uses a lot of curb. They're easy to run, just a little bit wide on some of these corners, and pick yourself at one of track limit warnings that Mark Tucker did as well. Leader does start the final lap with 9 seconds of this race remaining as Tim tucks back in behind Borobex. In towards turn 1 they go for the final time in this race. Borobex, can he hold on for his first race win of the season? Can Tim take another to really give himself a good platform to finish second place in this championship?
Esteban Borobex originally up in the pro category.
Oh, he's wide! Borobex has gone wide!
Yeah, it's gone wide, but he's still on the inside of the next few corners. And all he has to do is get it stopped on the apex, but he doesn't. Tim Venting comes underneath and goes up the inside, gives him a cheeky nudge, and Esteban Borobex runs wide. And that's going to allow Tim Venting through, but Esteban Borobex wants to finish the season on a high, and he wants a win. He's up the inside, and he's made contact with Tim.
Yeah.
And he's gone round.
And round goes Borobex there, which means Max Mulder is going to come through for P3, and I believe Richie Michel has come... Sorry, Max will come through for P2. Richie Michel... not P3 at the moment, though, because Borobex managed to get out back going, but it is going to be a BSP 1-2. It is going to be Tim Venting to win the race with the looks of this. I mean, he's got Max Mulder. I wondered where the camera was going there, but Tim's just coming down towards the corner. Oh, Max gets it a bit sideways coming through the next corner. Wants to hang on to that
sideways.
One. Yeah. Looks like it's going to be the 1-2. Did Borobex manage to hang on for P3 in this one? I believe he's got Richie Michel, yeah, right up behind him, but... it's going to be the Ferrari to start the night even better with a race win than what he probably would have hoped for starting from the back of the grid. And Tim Venting is going to come across the line to win the first race of the evening with his teammate Max Mulder in second place. Tim will also take the fastest lap of the race as well. Borobex looks like he is going to hang in there for that P3 in this one, with Richie Michel finishing in P4. Brian Craig comes across the line for P5. Diz gets P6 in this one, so not a bad drive. Obviously, things for Diz to look at and work on. Kieran Argent P7. Naval Gomez will be P8. And then it's going to be John Gooday, who will take a ninth place. Really gone off the boil at the back end of this season, is John.
Yeah, he has a little bit, and I think, again, it's just possibly the Aston Martin not working to his favour, maybe, or just the circuits don't seem to suit him.
Brian Craig has had a moment, had a big moment. Sorry, Mark Tucker's had a big moment, and Cranky Duckhead has just gone through. So Cranky Duckhead looks like he's going to come away for 11th place here, right at the very end. And Mark Tucker, I say that, Cranky Duckhead's just gone wide himself, manages to get it back on the circuit now, and Cranky Duckhead will be on his way to take P11 from Mark Tucker, who will take P12. And then Mirko Ricci left to wait for as he comes to the line in P30. Not his race, had an earlier incident that we just then didn't see him recover from.
No, indeed, but that's race 1 done, and Tim Venting takes the race win from Max Mulder, and Esteban Borobex finishing in that 3rd place position, probably cursing at himself right now. He defended all that time, and he loses it right at the very end, so a bit of a shame there for Esteban Borobex, but here we can go again in this one.
Yep, second race, hopefully to have a few more cars on the grid. Make sure you don't go anywhere. We'll catch you in just a few moments' time. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the start of qualifying for this second race of the afternoon. It is the Pro-Am qualifying session. The first car out on the circuit is that of Diz. And, well, a good race one goes the way of Tim Venting. Plenty of action and drama throughout that, which puts Tim back up into second place, 2 points clear of Richie Michelle. In third, John Goody gets caught by Diz. Justin Winter, obviously, probably out that running now with not being able to score in that first race. Brian Craig closes the gap to him. Burrabex moves up to 8th place. No Robert Smith at the moment, or then... sorry, no, is there Robert Smith? No, there is no Robert Smith, and there is no Paul Williams at the moment. With Sam P10 at the moment, he won't change that. Dennis Hansen will not be able to get past him unless he wins the race and gets fastest lap. Tucker 12th, Flores 11th, Gomez 13th, Williams 50th, Gomez 14th, Williams 15th, Argent 16th. Argent can go ahead of Williams tonight. Cranky Duckhead can go ahead of DJ Phil tonight as well. Just looking down the order, Mirko Ritchie can go ahead of Dean, possibly Fat Bloke in this race. The Jackal could go ahead of John Andrews as well. So plenty of places still up for grabs in this final race of the championship, as well as in that constructors, as Team Merlot stay ahead of Richie Corsa, and they look like they're going to cement this final third place position in the constructors championship. Apologies. So great race one, hopefully looking for more in race two, as Diz will be the first one to set a flying lap here in qualifying, and that is not what you really want to see. It's the big Ford Mustang coming out the pits, Dan. As we can't speak with Dan, he has just lost connection to Dan in the lobby, so we'll hopefully get Dan back in a few moments' time. Obviously having a few internet problems somewhere. I believe Dan is still there, so I believe we can hear him.
Hello.
He's not currently in the lobby. Yes, we do still have Dan with us. So Diz now on a flying lap while we wait for Dan to get back in the lobby. A few drivers, Dennis Hansen and Justin Winter cannot qualify. Diz the first man out there on a lap. John Gooday and Kieran Argent not yet gone out there to qualify. Neither has Cranky Duckhead, nor Mirko Ritchie or Diego Flores. And I'm noting that car number 3 is in the pit lane as well. That is Max Mulder, who's on his way out now. 17 cars for this finale. This will be an interesting one. Who else is? Diego Flores comes out the pits as drivers start their flying laps. 31 also comes out, I believe that is Cranky Duckhead. Yes, it is, out the pits he comes. Mirko Ritchie also has a qualifying ban. So it is just John Gooday and Kieran Argent who are yet to emerge from the pit lane in this second qualifying session, as here comes Diz at the final corner now to set his first flying lap of the session, as Dan is back in just in time for everybody to start setting flying laps. Bit cloudy, bit overcast here today, and across the line goes Diz. Manages to put a good lap time on the board. Tim Venting will be the next one after Brian Craig, who goes within half a second of Diz to set a lap time. He'll be looking for that Grand Slam on the final day with the fastest lap in the first race win. Doesn't set a lap time there. What about Mark Tucker? He comes to the line now. He goes within 1.8. The next car is the 999 of the Jackal, who's always impressed towards the back end of the season, Dan.
Yeah, the Jackal seems to have a good run into the end of the season. Possibly the circuits again towards the end of the season probably suit him better. And then we've seen that with the BMWs as well. A lot of the BMWs seem to be a lot better towards the end of the season. Dizzle, for example, seems to be quite competitive towards the end here. Yeah. But maybe you start getting the hang of the drivers you're up against, and then you have to start all over again next season. Yeah,
exactly. As he comes to the line, goes P4, currently 2 tenths off the back of Tucker. Car 3 is Max Mulder, but we know he's just came out of the pit lane. Car 18, Diego Flores, we know he's just come out of the pit lane. What about then the 68 of Burra Bex, as he comes to the line now, crosses it, goes within 4 tenths of Diz at the start. As Boeing and Airbus says in the chat, bro, I thought this was real. Apologies, it's not real, it is esports, but thank you very much on thinking it was real. It just means that we do a good job on the broadcast for sure, but thank you very much for the kind words. As Diz next to set a flying lap time.
Diz is next to set a flying lap time, and we know he was in the 32s in practice, as was Richie Michelle. So with the other drivers now back into the session, let's see what Diz can do.
Well, there you go.
He does a 32.5, and that's not a million miles away from the pro pace either.
No, it's not a million miles away. As Gomez to the line, he goes up into P3. What about Tim Venting then across his line? He goes into a 31.9, 6 tenths quicker than Diz. So a good lap there from Tim.
Yep, that is pro pace there, and you will possibly be seeing Tim and Max returning in the pro category possibly next season. So he definitely needs to keep that momentum up.
Yeah, he does indeed. Mark Tucker invalidated his lap. Here comes the Jackal, 3.2 off the pole. He's just invalidated his lap. Max Mulder, even though it's light blue, he'll be the next one on a lap time. And I'm noticing Max has just changed his livery halfway through the race. He's added a brown trim to the car. I assume that's meant to be gold.
Oh, that's gold. Yeah. Let's add the gold. He's going to have a terrible race now.
Yeah.
I mean, last race of the season, he's champion. Why not?
Yeah,
exactly. And he crosses the line and he goes second, and still not quite on top of his teammate, but nonetheless he goes into second place as they're all starting to come in thick and fast the lap times and seeing who can improve now.
Cranky Duckhead moves up into P9. Next car will be that of the 75. If Diz, no it won't, because he's sideways and in the wall. So it will then be the 333 of Brian Craig, who'll be next to try and set a lap time. Currently 1 second off the back of the leader. Can he find a little bit more from somewhere?
A lot of the drivers like to just put a banker lap in and just get into a flow and a rhythm. Once they get that banker lap in, that's when they'll start opening the door and really pushing the limits as much as they can. But that can also cause them a risk to possibly lose out later on in the session.
Could do indeed. Sorry, I'm just reading a message from Mirko Ritchie about the race 1. So I'll sort that with Mirko in a few moments' time.
In roughly an hour's time.
Yeah, in about an hour and 8 minutes, yeah. Just something to do with why he was at the back of the grid for race 1. And I believe that's because a few cars was missing on the grid that has glitched it out.
More likely, yeah, that's the reasoning for it. Is Tim Venting still fastest and improves. He does a 31.6.
Yeah.
Absolutely flying here.
Jekyll improves as well. He moves up to P8. We've got Max Mulder with Kieran Argent just behind him. Can Max Mulder find any more time to improve on his teammate? Nope, not that time. Kieran Argent must have been on and out. Now on an out lap. Then we get Richie Michelle.
Very quick lap time from Tim there.
But yeah, impressive indeed. Esteban Borough Bex moves up to P4. Cranky Duckhead to the line. No improvement for him. It's a strange qualifying then, because we sort of see in this mid-session of the qualifying before drivers return to the pits as if their tyres have just done for them best lap times, haven't they? And it's almost better to put a fresh set of boots on and go again.
Yeah, the right side tyres are definitely going to be hurting a lot. There's a lot of left-hand turns, and that's where the right tyres will start to feel the pure abuse from this session. And right now, it's a lot of drivers coming in and out, changing tyres. A reminder as well, they've got a limit of 10 tyres. This will possibly change next season.
As Gomez moves up the order to P4. Good lap from the Ford Mustang there. No improvement for this. John Gooday invalidates at the final corner, I assume. Anyway, the 42, that's Tim Ventic who stops. And it returns to the garage. John Gooday, yep, still no lap time on the board. He has died at the end of this season. I don't know whether it's been the Aston or himself, but just not had the rub of the green.
Yeah, possibly, or even the weather conditions. I think a lot of drivers, I definitely include myself in this one, it's just the hotter conditions. When it's a lot cooler or a lot wetter, then the conditions tend to favour them a little bit more. And I think it's possibly the same with John Gooday. I think the hotter conditions may be really not suiting to his style.
Kieran Argent puts a lap time in for P8 as Max Mulder doesn't improve. What about Richie Michelle in the background before Borough Bex? Richie Michelle improves, not enough. Diego Flores down the order. He doesn't improve either. In fact, he does, sorry, he goes P10. What about Cranky Duckhead? Now, can he go back in front? No, he cannot. Next car will be that of the 333 of Brian Craig, so going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on.
It is indeed, as I'm still currently watching Max Mulder. No real improvement from any of these guys at the minute, as John Gooday still can't seem to put a lap time on the board, as Brian Craig now coming to the line. The only good thing about these cameras, Matt, is what I've noticed last night, is when a car crosses the line, as Brian Craig does cross the line, you can see what the next car is coming behind. So
yes.
Gomez now next to the line, 1.1 off the pace, and is still a little bit off. 9/10 behind at the minute is Diz, and he crosses the line, no improvement. And that lap time from Tim was mighty, and he's in the pits, and I think he's done. I think he said, you know what, that's the best I can do.
I think that's potentially him in the pit lane for the rest of the evening. Then it's John Gooday to the line, finally gets a lap time on the board, P9. He looks like he's returning it back to the pits. The next car will be that of the Jackal. So Dennis Hansen will be going from last here in qualifying. Tim then looking for a finale of the Grand Slam, if you will.
If he has his teammate right there, then Max is obviously going to help him out as much as he possibly can. Try and be a bit of a rear gunner within a fair way. And Max will try his very best to help Tim Venting out so they can secure that 1-2 in the championship. Yeah,
Bex moves ahead of Gomez now. He moves up the order. Richie Michel not showing the pace of earlier practice sessions. He's still down in P6. Cranky Duckhead now to the line in this one at the moment. Stays 13th place. Next car will be the 113 of Naval Gomez. Excuse me, that is for sure. So, in fact, no, it won't, because he's going slow. He's let Diz through, so it'll be Diz to do the next lap. Go on then, Dan. Give us your opinions on this Ford Mustang this season. What do we make of it?
My honest opinion. Good evening, Richard Beasley in the chat. My honest opinion, I think it's been a disappointment. If I'm brutally honest. I think it's been monstrous in a straight line, and a fair play to whoever's managed to tame the beast, as Diz goes into second place now ahead of Max Mulder. Max has to go out now so we can keep that front row secure for him and Tim. But I genuinely think it has been the disappointment car of the season. We were expecting so much. It's came in, everyone's hyped for it, and it's turned up. And the people who have run it, you've had some brilliance at Zolder and possibly Indianapolis, but it's not really been that good a car, in my opinion. I don't know about yourself, but I do think that too much hype around the car. If we had Monza on the calendar, I think we would be having a very different conversation.
Yeah, but I look as well, though, at tracks like Red Bull Ring, where you'd expect, a lot of straights at Red Bull Ring for that Ford to use that power, and it just didn't, did it? I agree with you. It seemed very underwhelming.
Yeah, but Red Bull Ring's got a lot of fast-flowing corners, which requires a lot of downforce and a lot of grip. And the Mustang appears not to have it. It's just got too much power, I think. And to me, it's been one of the disappointments of the season. But as Diz does improve, 4/10 he did fine, but I think he's not going to get enough to get near Tim tonight. Tim's been on fire here at Valencia. But S2M Borobex, he's not too far away now, as we're still waiting for cars to come to the line. I'm not sure who that is coming to the line right now.
It's Diz, who crosses the line, doesn't find any more, so we'll get going.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Oh, he does, sorry.
Find time.
Yeah, sorry, so it must have took a while to update there.
He gets it 4/10.
Halves his time towards Tim Venting, needs to find half that again. Nothing there for Max Mulder. John Gooday to the line, nothing there for him. Naval Gomez, nothing there for him. Tim's still out there on a flying lap as well, so he's going to try and push one more. I think Tim's time is probably safe, but he's obviously just going to cover that, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in going out and covering your lap time, is there? If you go out there and suddenly see that cars are improving and you're not out there improving, then you obviously got to question why cars are doing that. But I do think him going out on track now is a good thing, and making sure he covers anything. And if he can find anything else, I mean, that is a big lap time. But Diz seems to be finding more and more pace as he goes round.
He is at the moment, so it's all going the way of Tim Venting so far. And Cranky Duckhead now through the final corner. Drivers starting to return to the pits. Borobex, I see yellow flag in the pit lane. So interesting one to see as Cranky Duckhead to the line goes. P12 knocks Diego Flores down to 13th. So now can Diego take that place back? They will get one lap each left in them. I believe Diz will get one more run after this as well. So Diz will get one more opportunity here, and very warm track conditions of 39-degree track tempers. Sparking game. A Mustang is fun to drive, though. I'd rather have the 296 brakes over top speed, and I have to agree, pretty much brakes over top speed is no improvement for Diz. What can Max Mulder do? Can he get that front row back? Cranky Duckhead is done for a lap time. 46, that's Kieran Argent. I don't think he's going to get around in time to set one more lap. Max doesn't improve. Here comes Naval Gomez to set one more. He doesn't improve. I think, did Tim just invalidate? It says he hasn't. Looked like he went a little bit over the curb there. Does he improve at the final end? No, he stays where he is. Richie Michel doesn't improve. John Gooday doesn't improve. And I don't think Kieran Argent gets to the line. No, he's not. 5 seconds. Kieran Argent is done. So the next car to finish will be that of Diz.
It will be Diz' last chance for him to try and get on pole position, but I do think it's just a little bit too far away. And right now, Tim Ventink is looking pretty at the minute on pole position. No one else able to improve, and I think Gomez is actually on a lap as well. But Richie Michel has been the kind of shock here. He looked fast in practice, and he's just not been able to do anything with it.
Yeah, just hasn't had the lap time, has he, in this session?
No, not at all. But I have been proven wrong. He does sometimes pop a lap out at the very last minute. But I mean, Matt loves a good last-minute pole position.
He's got a blue dot on my screen, so I don't know if he's invalidated or what. We'll have to wait and see in a few moments' time. John Gooday's still on the lap, but here comes Diz. Then that's the round to the final corner. Tim Ventink is done for this lap. Max Mulder's now got a light blue dot, so I believe he's possibly invalidated. Nothing for Diz. Stays where he is. The next call will be Naval Gomez to see if he improves. John Gooday is also done in P9. So not the qualifying session for him. Kieran Argent done in P8. Brian Craig done in 7th. Insert Gomez to the line. He stays P5. And it is... Now, did I just see Max Scott go across the track map a little bit there? I'm not sure if that was lag or what, but both them two done. It is Tim Ventink who takes that pole position going into this final race. The clean sweep is still on for him.
It is, but Diz is on that front row, and anything can happen going into turn 1 or even possibly turn 2. But this time round, I'm not going to curse Diz. I'm going to leave him to it and allow him to run his race. But Matt, obviously, will look to now a driver that you think is going to win this race too. Who's favoured for this? Obviously, the track conditions have warmed up. We did have a bit of cloud. The cloud has seemed to burnt away. And who do you think is going to win this one?
I'm going Max Mulder.
You're going Max. I'm going to go Richie Michel. Why not?
A little different. Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one to see what happens in this race too. Who will be the driver that comes out on top or not? Tim Ventink's pole position there to go along with his race win. Just having a look at that. Where is Tim? That's his 7th pole position of the season. And that race win gives him race win number 12 of the season as well. 7 in GT3s, 1 in GT4 and 1 in the Endurance as well. In fact, no, he didn't actually win that race in the Endurance, did he? So
he did.
Oh no, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
You did.
Penalties. Because you was his teammate. Yeah, forgot. So yeah, Dan and so yeah, 12 wins now for Tim Ventink. That puts him on the same wins as James Ash. Bit of a gap now to catch Andy in terms of race wins on that list, but he now leaves behind Little Leach and Emo Guy and Holty on that list.
Who?
Exactly. And it's weird saying PSN names again now when we're looking at real names.
Yeah, for sure. It is, but I do have to say as well, they are very much missed. A lot of those drivers are very much missed. To be fair, one of my highlights was obviously racing Andy for that season. I believe, 5 was Project Cars?
Season 5 of Project Cars.
That was probably, yeah, and obviously Little Leach, oh God, one of my best teammates, just after the man, the legend, the myth himself, who carried me to 3 constructors, D-Bigs. But
it's nice you find
another. I mean, you can keep that recording, Matt. I know you love it, but I've definitely not been carried this season. But
God no.
Obviously, you've gone for Max Mulder for this one. Yeah. I've gone for Richie Michel. What has been your highlight of this season? Because these
last week, race 2. Just the whole night was phenomenal.
A lot of the guys in the chat as well managed to, or in the Discord anyway, managed to see the footage that I posted of Paul Williams. Because obviously you guys couldn't see it, but even though Diz had a phenomenal crash, Paul Williams was even more dramatic. He managed to do some form of kickflip in a Lamborghini, which is absolutely amazing. I was going to say he's older, but then I remembered the brilliant fight that Diz and Max had at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, Snetterton as well. They had a good fight.
Snat, yeah, they were good. Red Bull Ring, they were going at it again. And I just think the first half of the season when Diz and Max were literally going tooth and nail. Yeah, they were going for it. And I think, for me, that's what I missed. What do you think the car of the season had been? for this season. Obviously, we like to go through each circuit and decide.
If we're talking Pro-Am, I think the car of the season, because I think it changes for Pro. I think the car of the season Pro-Am has got to be that Ferrari. We know how good the McLaren is, and that's why there's a lot of them. I don't think the Ferrari is as good as the BMW or the McLaren, and I think the Ferrari's done well.
The Ferrari's done very well in the hands of Tim and also Richie Michel.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And a few other Ferrari drivers. They're the only two Ferrari here, and they're at the top half. So
yeah, you look at the other Ferraris down the order. You know, the next Ferrari driver is actually Dean, Greasy Bandits Dean. So not many Ferraris to pick from, but Tim and Richie Michel to be, you know, top 3 in the championship. I think the Ferrari's car of the season. It changes for me in Pro because of the difference, you know, in driver. But for me in Pro-Am, I think Ferrari's the car of the season. I think it's old as my highlight. And it goes to show as well, by the way, the first half of the season, how much the BM dropped off at that middle stage on the circuits. Diz missed a couple of rounds, but it shows how much that BM dropped off, because at the start of the season, you couldn't separate him and Max. Mid-stage of the season, Max was so much more dominant. We are green and go, though, here for the final round of the season. Ventick is on that inside line, looking down in towards turn 1. Diz already on the outside. You've got Max Mulder, who's going to try and look up the middle, but patiently waits behind the pair of them. Diz trying to go around the outside of Tim Ventick, and he does just that. That is a fantastic manoeuvre. Now Max going to try and look up the inside of Tim Ventick as Naval Gomez comes up the inside of Max and Borobex and gets the pair of them.
Richie Michel's in that squabble as well, so Gomez really sticking his nose in there, but Max has managed to hold him off. He was looking to try and attack in front, but actually lost out. And a reminder as well, guys, the BMW is massively better in the race, and Gomez has gone wide in the Mustang, and Diz now has got some serious pressure. Now he's got both BSP boys behind him, but if he tries to back the pack up a little bit, he can try and get them back into the swamp of cars in the background.
Yeah, he can indeed, but I think Diz is going to have this one covered. Like you said, the BMW is a much better race car than a qualifying car with its stability. Just makes it that bit better over that longer period of time, and this is where we're going to see Diz be able to stretch his legs a little bit. Brian Craig's got Kieran Argent for company in the background. He's also got the Jackal on the rear of him, so Kieran Argent separate in the middle of an orange sandwich in the middle of screen. Going through the order, though, Diego Flores lost out massively, as did Mark Tucker and Cranky Duckhead. They've lost out to Mirko Ritchie, Dennis Hansen and Justin Winter, who all had qualifying bans. And look at that, bouncing over that sausage curve, they all go in towards the final part of the circuit. But it's Diz who's stretching his legs from Tin, who's already stretched his legs from Max Mulder. He's got Richie Michel, Borobex, Naval Gomez, all for company at the moment.
They have indeed, and at the minute, Tim Ventick's plan has kind of gone wrong. It looks like so far, if you're on the outside of turn 1, you tend to have the better run into turn 1. And right now, Tim's got a lot of work to do now to try and work past Diz, as Max got that gold livery added to his car and is leading ahead of Richie Michel, Gomez, Borobex and Gomez, who are hunting him down. Brian Craig still leading that leading orange fight at the minute, but yeah, we've got a couple of spread out positions at the minute, as Diego Flores right at the back of the pack and obviously had some form of contact somewhere.
He's got some big damage to the rear, the right hand side of his Porsche. Not sure what the front end looks like at the moment. The front end probably looks the nicest part of that car so far.
There's a car off.
Who is off? That is the 68. It is Borobex. He's off. Where
the same
he went
corner
off.
He dropped
yeah,
it
same corner he dropped it with Tim Ventick in race 1. He's dropped behind Dennis Hansen, so that's put him down to 13th place. What happened there? Not sure. Car looks okay. So has he just gone too deep into the corner again and just dropped it? Car looks fine in terms of damage, but it is still Max with Richie Michel. Bit of a gap though back now to Naval Gomez as Kieran Argent's trying to go around the outside of Brian Craig. Cameraman really needs to pick these up. Kieran Argent, does he get past Brian Craig? He does. Round the outside in towards its last couple of corners, and Kieran Argent then making moves in this Ford Mustang, but Gomez dropped off the back of the other pack and onto this one now as Justin Winters coming under pressure from his teammate John Gooday whilst trying to attack the back of the Jackal. Gooday up the inside. Does Justin Winter look for that cutback? No, he can't get it done, so John Gooday getting the move done on his teammate.
I'd be very much keeping an eye on that Porsche next season. I think with the BOP, it's going to be a much better option car, and we'll see a lot of drivers possibly looking to go towards it, but it's a very tricky car to get the hang of. But Tim Ventick now taking fastest lap of the race and is within half a second of Diz, but Diz knows how to absorb this pressure. Meanwhile, Richie Michel is going to be focusing primarily on getting past Max Mulder.
He is indeed, as John Gooday runs wide, and that's allowed Justin Winter to come through. Mirko Ricci trying to have a look around the outside of John Gooday as well. They keep it side by side. Justin runs a little wide, and John gets a twitch on the exit of the corner as he had that tighter line. Tried to get the power down too early. Car didn't like that, and Mirko Ricci goes through. He's now got Dennis Hansen and Burrow Becks all over the back of him, but Tim Benting getting the gap down to 0.3 of a second, and I think Dennis Hansen's just gone a little wide. Did Burrow Becks maybe tap him there? Burrow Becks slow to let him go, and Tim now all over the back of Diz.
He is all over the back of that BMW, but it's a very big, wide car, and right now it's probably going to be hindering Tim's view right now of where the track is. But at the minute, Diz doing everything that he needs to do, place the car in the right position, and if it starts turning into a little bit of a scrap, he could just back Tim up again into his teammate. Yes, he'll probably won't attack him, but that will allow Richie Michelle to come back into it. So Diz has just got to play it patiently here.
Yeah, Diz has got to play it patiently, and this is the downside to not having your teammate in a teamed event, really, to be able to help you out and in this race, because Robert Smith's come good at the back end of this season. A lot of drama happening in the background just behind Kieran Argent. Now he's just in Winter. It's not as much as actually we thought. Burrow Becks is off. He's now going to come back on, just trying maybe a little too hard to clear through the field at this stage of the race. Diego Flores still way behind, but Tim now pretty much pushing Diz through these corners. The thing with the BMW, Dan, is it grows into the race, so Diz will not be bothered at the moment.
No, he will not be bothered, and he's probably done a lot of testing. I mean, I was in testing earlier on, and he was in here just pure and just perfecting his long runs. He seems to be doing quite a lot of runs on his own, and we'll see how he manages to do for this entire race. But you don't always have to be the fastest to win, and right now Diz is doing everything that he needs to do. Tim looking for any opportunity to work his way through any mistake, as Richie Michelle really not bringing the gap down to Max at this stage.
No, not able to at the moment. Kieran Argent's trying to bring the gap down
attacking.
to Brian Craig, as Jackal goes up the inside of Justin Winter, misses his brakes by a mile, and that's going to put Justin Winter back through over the Jackal. Dennis Hansen has also got John Gooday at some stage, but Kieran Argent's lost back out to Brian Craig. Oh, and now they're round. I think Kieran's hit him.
Yeah, possibly so, as Kieran's got going as well. So Kieran just went straight on. Could have gone underneath, but he didn't. He stayed where he was. And Benting, once again, right under the rear wing of Diz at the minute.
Yes, as Kieran clatters the sausage curb hard and really struggling and wrestling with that Ford Mustang at the moment. And like you say, Tim Benting right on the rear wing of Diz at the moment, coming down towards turn one. Diz looks like he's able to get this one under control into turn one at least, but it's that run through turn one and up and in towards turn two that's going to be the problem for Diz at the moment.
Max now fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and Tim probably can't stretch his legs, and Diz probably not wanting to stretch his legs at the moment. Knowing that BM goes through a weird spell myself, the driver of Diz will probably just be cautious right now and just be noting that BM will just probably be going through a funny phase and just letting it do its thing and coming back into this race.
Yeah, he's just, like you said, just getting it into a groove. The last thing he wants to do is constantly look in his rear view. He'll want to focus primarily on just having a nice, smooth run and just keeping the Ferrari behind him, making Tim work hard. And all Diz has to do is just control this pace. He doesn't have to do anything crazy right now. Tim doesn't seem to have one particular area where he seems stronger at this stage. Meanwhile, Justin Winter still can't seem to find a way through on Brian Craig. Mirko Ricci onto the back of the Jackal, who had a moment, and Mirko has gone very wide, and John Gooday up the inside of Dennis Hansen in the Aston Martin into the chicane. He's going to be on the wrong side going into the hairpin, but he's going to try it around the outside. He's going to give it a good go, but he's going to end up in the marbles and losing grip and dropping further down. Meanwhile, SVM Borobex has cleared Tucker and the Cranky Duckhead and slowly working his way back on the guys in front. Yeah. Meanwhile, Tim has lost a little bit of momentum to Diz.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. The BM just gains that, that strength, and depending on how early it goes through that funny phase, that BMW might be coming up to strength and strength. Also, though, let's not forget, Dan, Tim Benting made that mistake in race one, so possibly has got a mistake in him just by maybe overdriving the car a little bit. This is Dennis Hansen going side by side with Mirko Ricci down the start line now. Going to try and get that inside line in towards turn one. Dennis Hansen's been a real breath of fresh air since coming into the league earlier in the season. Him and Eckholt have been brilliant, and Hansen couldn't get that move done. Argent now looking onto the back of Justin Winter, with him being held by Brian Craig a little bit in this one, but the Jackal trying to stick with Argent as well. Few little different gaps, but a few different battles. Burrow Becks also on the rear wing of that of John Gooday.
He is indeed. Meanwhile, Tim's really looking again as Diz has lost a little bit time in Sector 1. It just seems to be where Diz seems to struggle at the minute. Then Sector 2, he comes back. And in the final sector, they seem to be relatively even. And Richie Michel now has actually gained onto the back of Max Mulder. That's only 6/10. So these positions are ebbing and flowing, Mathew.
Yeah, ebbing and flowing is the time between the top 4 drivers at the moment. And the interesting thing here is the tyres, with it now being 41 track degree out there, the tyres are going to be doing all sorts on these cars. It's probably a bit of tyre management from people. You're probably going to change them at a circuit like Valencia in the pit stop. That'll probably be the beneficial thing to do, but at the minute, Diz seems to have Tim covered. Max has definitely got Richie Michel covered, and back down the pack, Justin Winters lost a bit of time to that of Brian Craig and Kieran Argent. Hot in there. Had to get on the brakes a bit more through that final corner as he nearly clattered into the back of Justin Winter. Dennis Hansen still on the back of Mirko Richie. Is this the chance he's now going to need to pull out and have a look? Well, Borough Bex is pulling out and having a look on that of John Goudet. Down the start straight, they both come. And is this going to be Borough Bex up the inside at turn 1 saying thank you mama for the carrots? No, it's not. John Goudet can cut across and hold on to that position as John's disappeared off the screen, and there he is now as the camera pans up. That's contact, Dennis Hansen and Mirko Richie.
Contact, and Mirko Richie is facing the wrong way, and he's got going again though, but Dennis Hansen gained a position out of that one. And we look to the rest of the guys on the grid, and everyone else still not able to find a way through as SVM Borobex is in the middle of all that fight that was going on between Dennis Hansen and John Goudet. And Goudet right now just defending from Dennis Hansen at the minute, who's looking to work his way through. And like you said, Matt, it's been great having Hansen and Eckel coming to SimPlay Motorsport, and I'm hoping they have some friends as well, and they want to bring them along to SimPlay Motorsport ready for the new season, as this gives you an opportunity, guys, to make sure you join the Discord and get your hot stints done ready in 5 weeks time, as or 6 weeks time, so that we go racing again as the calendar is slowly coming together. The admins have picked, and it's down to the drivers to pick, and we believe we have another Patreon who has picked a circuit as well. Yep, the Patreons obviously get a benefit from being a Patreon. They get to pick a circuit as well. So right now, the calendar is looking quite spicy.
Different. The calendar's looking different. John Gooday's now being attacked by Dennis Hansen and Borough Bex. In fact, Dennis Hansen's got past John Goudet in the straight line, and here comes Borough Bex. He's going to try and look up the inside of John Goudet. This time at turn 1. Nope, can't do it there, and he'll have to wait once again for another run. Kieran Argent once again on the rear of Justin Winter. No, Kieran Argent is past Justin Winter. So the Jackal will now try and have a go at the back of the Porsche driver, while Tim's got that gap back down to 3/10, just ebbing and flowing between the two leaders at this stage of the race. And yeah, only the 5-week break. Only the 5-week break this time, because if we'd ran the 6-week break, Pro-Am finale would have been on Christmas Day, and Pro would have been on Boxing Day. And I don't think we'd get many drivers for that one.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I've got nothing on.
Yeah, there's nothing important on that day, I don't think. I think we're just celebrating the birth of something. I'm not sure what. But
we all
meanwhile, SimPlay Motorsport, that's what it was. Yeah. Celebrating the birth of SimPlay Motorsport.
I wish, actually, speaking of the birth of SimPlay Motorsport, that is 4 years on Monday that SimPlay Motorsport has been going. Yeah, 4 years on Monday. So, happy birthday, SimPlay.
Happy birthday, SimPlay. And what torture you've given me for the last 4 years. Meanwhile, Diz has still managed to just keep that gap to Tim Venting. There's not really much. Tim's now probably going to have to start thinking of strategies right now, because he can't seem to outpace him. Mirko Richie, meanwhile, is sticking to Max Mulder really well at the minute. The top 4 currently sitting in the 33s and 32s on pace. So very good race pace from these guys at the minute.
Very good race pace from these guys indeed. These are the closest battles on track, although down to John Gooding. No, he's just up without that second of Borough Bex. So back to the leaders then, who's the closest fight on the circuit. So good evening to Tracy in the chat. Diz then still just in front of Tim Venting, but like you say, Tim's possibly now thinking of the pit window, thinking now of maybe does he change tyres, maybe does he risk it, like Max just said in the chat, for who will change who will risk that change of tyres, who won't. As like you say, he just cannot get past the BMW driver at the moment.
He looks like he's got his nose up the inside here. He looked like he had a better exit. Diz gives him the space and room, but he'll be on the outside for... and he's come up the inside and given him a shove. And Diz now giving him the space and respect, and Tim Venting up the inside and barges his way through. So Tim now leads this race. And Max Mulder still under some pressure from Richie Michel. But Diz there got caught out ever so slightly going into that hairpin. But he can come back. He can try and get Tim Venting back. And Tim very slow out of the final corner, to be fair.
Max a little slidey through the final corner. Richie Michel runs a little wide on the exit. And I reckon if Richie Michel didn't run as wide there, you know, he probably could have got that run down the start line over Max Mulder, who just looked like, as he started to brake and turn in, just looked like the rear end just wanted to sort of come around. But as he's turning, he's kind of negating that. And Max running a little wide at turn one. Got to be careful there for the track limits. It looks like Diz is coming back on Tim Venting here.
He was giving him the flash of lights down the straight, probably feeling like he would give him a little shove.
Push to pass, isn't it? You know, it's you see that as clear as day in real racing. You know, that'll probably be one the stewards are going to look at. We're not going to divulge too much into it on air, but it's going to be a great battle. This is now where we get to see what Tim can do with his pace as he loses it on the curb. Well held from Tim Venting.
Very much so, and he's actually lifting and allowing Diz through there. So I think he's trying not to avoid having a penalty from that one, and he's gone wide in the next corner as well. So who knows? Diz might never have put that in. We don't know, but yeah, Diz now gaining a position back, and Tim knows that he's got the raw pace on his own. So Max has got very wide in the background.
Yeah, Max has gone very, very wide. That's allowed Richie Michel up the inside, so that's not what Max... I said Max looked a little slidey. I don't know, that McLaren tonight, Max hasn't looked comfortable in it, has he? You know, he's just seemed to have moments where he's been a bit slipy-slidey.
Yeah, he has been a little bit loosey-goosey, but I actually think that's possibly the gold trim, and he's going around the outside of Richie Michel. You don't ever put the gold trim on for one event, you put the gold trim on for the entire season. But Richie Michel...
That's what you've learned.
Richie Michel has got that in hand. Tim Venting trying to catch Diz again. But these four pulling away. The rest of the pack, meanwhile, not really much going on behind. Well, I say that. There's some close battles. Dennis Hansen is on the rear wing of S2M Borough Becks.
Yeah, this is within 3/10. We've got Mark Tucker on the back of John Gooday in the background as well. So going to be an interesting one as John Gooday goes to defend that inside line of turn one. Mark Tucker clearly having good pace in that McLaren in a straight line down the start straight. Can't get past John Gooday there. Dennis Hansen still losing
Max and Richie Michel have come together. Max has made contact with Richie Michel. Gomez has now cleared Richie Michel.
So's Brian Craig. Kieran Argent might get past him here as well. Yes, he does. Well, Richie Michel was in front, so that's going to be an interesting one to find out. Did they drop it on their own? Because Max's car looks pretty clean.
Replay.
Yeah, Max's car looks clean. Richie Michel's car looks clean. So, not sure what happened there, but that has changed the order of the top four for sure, because it's now put Naval Gomez into third place. Max has kept hold of third place, sorry. Naval Gomez into fourth for Brian Craig with Kieran Argent. Then it's Richie Michel, who's got Justin Winter right up his trumpet here in this race. He's still got the Jackal chasing him, then Borough Becks and Dennis Hansen. So an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Tim's back within half a second of Diz at this stage of the race.
Max made contact to the back of Richie Michel, just gave him a slight love tap on the rear, and around he went. So, yeah, Max at fault for that one, and Richie Michel now having to play catch-up once again. It was just the slightest of taps, nothing, you know, nothing horrible, nothing. If it wasn't a send it was just literally a slight tap, and that was it, enough to send him round.
Just unstable the Ferrari, and around goes Richie Michel, who's now coming under increasing pressure from that of Justin Winter down the start straight. Surprised the Porsche was able to stick with the Ferrari. I think that's been one surprise this season. Some of these Porsches haven't looked as bad in a straight line as I think we've needed to see.
I mean, some haven't looked too bad. Others,
unless you're Gary,
have made it look a bit. But again, if you take the BMW. BMW. You take the Porsche into Pro, you need to do some wonders with it just to make it competitive. It will show its weakness. But I think in Pro-Am, it's still a very competitive car nonetheless. And Justin Winter has shown this season that it can be competitive, and so has Romeo.
So did Romeo. Yeah, Romeo looked really good. Get the quickest I've seen the Porsche of Gary's hand was Zolder at last week. If you haven't seen it, go and watch the short on the channel. That will explain everything. As Justin Winter now just dropping off the back of Richie Michel, just falling once again into that clutch of the Jackal, who's got Burrebeck starting to gain on him, and Dennis Hansen. Gap out front's back down to just under 2/10. Coming down the start straight, though, and I don't feel this is where Tim gains on Diz that much. In fact, the gap's increased out the final corner, so... Yeah, going back to earlier statement, Dan, Tim seems better through that first part of the lap. The second part of the lap, Diz seems to be comfortable.
He does indeed, and don't be anybody asking to get the please. Says Sparking Gamer. Emprava saying, "Oi Tony, how are you, my friend?" They're having a mini conversation.
That's because he knows Tony can't ban him in the chat here, because Plava normally says something in my Twitch stream, and Tony will go, "Oh, do you know what? Mute for 300 seconds." And it's a little, yeah, they're little lovers, and Tony can't do it to Plava in this one.
Well, in that case, then, where's Emplava? Mute.
There's Tim having a look up the inside there. It is a little too far back to make it work from there, though. This, again, the closest battle excuse me, on the circuit at the moment.
I mean, at the minute, Esteban Burrebeck is right up the rear wing of the Jackal at the minute, and he's got a bit of damage to the front end of that car as Esteban Burrebeck, and he gets really close to the back end of the BMW and can't seem to find a way through. Tracy's in the chat as well, saying hi, go BSP, and at the minute they're just struggling at the minute to get past Diz, and Max is really struggling. He's all over the shop.
Yeah, Max's car just looked a little slidey. It doesn't look great, does Max's McLaren at the moment. Just looks a little too twitchy for me. I wonder if his tyres have just overheated slightly and it's just made the car a little unstable. But yeah, the Jackal coming under pressure from Burrebeck as Tim made a mistake somewhere. He's now 2.2 seconds off the back of Diz, and bit of a wiggle there for the Jackal out the final corner. Pit window opens, by the way, in just under 2 minutes. And look at that, Burrebeck's having to pull out of Jackal's dirty air there, possibly just let them tyres cool a little bit.
Or just to show his nose, to kind of give him a little bit of a nerves to think, oh, he's going to send up here. Racing car drivers do that, but yes, although you see a couple of cars just stick their nose out every now and then and just, you know, show their car, you think, what on earth they're doing? They're actually trying to put off the car in front and try and make them think about their car. And they're missing braking zones. As Justin Winter very twitchy through there.
Twitchy and a little wide. That allowed the Jackal a little invitation. Couldn't take it. And look at this train of cars here. This is absolutely fantastic to see here. 3 different manufacturers as well. Porsche, BMW, and then that is the Jackal lunges up the inside. Misses the brakes, doesn't make contact with Winter. I don't think Winter saw that early enough and cuts back underneath, comes back down up the inside. Will be the outside for the next hairpin though. And wait till we see the next camera shot. Oh, Jackal sideways, Winter's off the road. And Burrebeck is like, where do I go here? I don't know which way to turn. Who has got through though? Burrebeck gets through. I think Jackal's giving that one back to Winter. Yes, he is. And Dennis Hansen may get past him as well. Oh no, Winter's sideways again. And where is Hansen in all of that? He was slow. I think Hansen's gone across the gravel. And yeah, so Burrebeck is the beneficiary of all that, because he's managed to gap the 3 of them.
And Jackal hit the brakes really hard then, just as Winter was going sideways. So yeah, a bit of a moment there from them. Gomez is just lost a little bit of pace to Max Mulder at the minute. Max is now starting to eat that gap, but Diz at the minute under control, looking good. And Richie Michelle trying to put some pressure onto Argent, and yeah.
Oh, he is. He is. He's having a look up the inside. It's going to be the outside for the double right-hander. He knows that. Brakes a little earlier than the Mustang. Oh, you just see him try and tuck underneath, but he bounces off that grass where it kind of dips, and that didn't help Richie Michelle's momentum through the corner. Do you know one man I hope to see back next year? Do you know what? I think this would make the dream team. SimPlay's 4 years old next year. If we got Kelly back and Argent's back, I think it should be written in the stars for an Argent-Kelly collab. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, they've had their past, they've had their history. Bathurst, one of the exceptions.
Back on the calendar.
Maybe on the calendar for next season. I think that'd be a team that, you know, it's just been it's been in the wings. It's like, who would it be like teaming together? It would be like teaming
Plato
Max
and Neil.
It'd be like teaming Plato and Neil together. You know, it shouldn't happen, but let's make it happen, sort of thing. I think that'd be fantastic.
Lewis and Max. Obviously, a load of people won't know who we're on about when we say Plato and Neil, but
Lewis
Hamilton
and
Max Verstappen.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Justin Winter is really sideways. And Tim Ventink pulling the trigger and into the pits, as is Gomez as well, straight away. But yeah, it would be just putting two outrageous drivers
Prost
who
and Senna.
despise each other. Yeah, well, they already done that, didn't they?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what it'd be like. But,
Alonso and Hamilton.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think it'd be a fantastic
Ocon and Gasly.
To see. Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be a fantastic thing to see if Kelly comes back. Kelly, if you're watching, we miss you. Archie Bargie's looking for a teammate.
Well, I may have some form of information on that. He said he likes to. He'll have more time in the winter. Let's just put it that way.
There we go. Mike's trying to convince Plava to come back. I think Plava's got a PS5 at the moment. I
believe, yeah, Mike's trying to sack me off by the sounds of things.
Yes, but I don't think Plava would make pro anymore, would he?
I don't know. I mean, he could give up an 8-time champ for a runner-up in Pro-Am.
Yeah, 2 and a Corsa, can we just point out? It's not like ACC where the Honda. It's not like ACC where the Honda, the NSX is somewhat decent. You know, this was the Acura on Project Cars 2 that didn't stand a chance. But either way,
if anyone doesn't understand what Matt is on about when he says Acura, it's basically the Honda NSX.
You know why it's called Acura, don't you? Well,
yeah, it's because it's the American version.
Yeah, but you know why, don't you? The Japanese sold the NSX to America.
Jackal's dropped it.
Oh, there we go.
He's in the wall.
Dropped it. He's in the wall as Brian Craig, I think, went into the pit lane there. Yeah, he's into the pits. The Japanese sold the NSX to America and said, oh, you can call it this. And they called it because they called it something other than Honda, the Japanese made a lot more money by doing that. So, smart business from the Japanese. There you go.
They're very, very smart people, the Japanese are. Yeah. And they're very, very successful, as Toyota are proving at the minute. Absolutely dominating World Endurance for a couple of years, and then World Rally as well. Still struggling with GTs. I don't think they actually have a car that's worth a GTs. Maybe they'll make a Supra.
Got a British GT4 entry.
Yeah, but that's a Supra, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah, but that's all they've got.
This has gone green. Where is Tim Ventink? He's coming down the main straight now. Sorry to butt in, Matt.
Tim's off the limited. Diz off the limited. Diz done this. Yeah, that's clear. Diz, good job. That's one thing we've not really mentioned, but we've not really seen it with the small grid tonight, Dan, is it? The pit exit is a little tricky one, because as you just rejoining where the line isn't, you're sort of coming straight onto the racing line, aren't you, of the other cars. We're currently watching this fight still, by the way, between Argent and Richie Michelle, the second and third as well on circuit, as Brian Craig exits the pits. I thought he was clear of Tim, but he's not. That's obviously just not updated.
No, he's not. And yeah, this smaller grid, I think the thing with this circuit is I'm not sure what. I think the problem with this circuit is it's obviously because it's very wide open, there's a lot of corners. It does offer a lot of mistakes to happen here, and I think there's not really any heavy braking zones. Obviously a reminder as well, Matt, that this is a bike circuit. Yeah. So it's pretty much set for bikes really more than cars. So that's why you're not seeing many of the crazy overtakes that you would see at like Monza or Spa. And GT3 they technically have a Lexus, and it's not really a Toyota though, let's be honest. It's a Lexus.
It's like calling the Corvette the Chevrolet, you know, it's technically the same.
It's like, no, it's more like calling a Fiat a Ferrari.
It's more like saying that VW win Le Mans with Porsche winning, you know.
It's Richie Michelle up the inside of Kieran Argent here, sorry. Yeah, Kieran Argent just made a little bit wide there, and Richie Michelle nearly looked like he had to move down, but he's going up the inside. Contact's made! Yeah, now was that Argent turning in? Was that Richie Michelle driving into the back of him? Not quite sure. Richie Michelle carries on his way. And these two fighting, that's going to allow Dennis Hansen the chance to catch up here. That's just more damage to Argent's car. As Richie Michelle, I didn't think Argent was getting that one stopped for a moment. Richie Michelle gets up ahead of Kieran Argent then in his pursuit to chasing down Max Mulder, but that's 12 seconds, and Argent will not be a happy chap with that one at all. No, he won't, but nonetheless, he's ended up dropped behind him, and he's got to cool his head and carry on going and focus on what's going on in front of him. Max Mulder now pits as Diz and Tim Ventink. The gap has come down. It was it 2.6, I believe the gap was. But yeah, it's So who helped develop the NSX? Question mark.
I don't know. I only know that one little fact. Don't judge me. Jeez. I know one little fact about the Japanese and the American. I don't know the rest of it. But that's why you only really see it in... You don't really see the Honda NSX in the Asian Fanatec GT World Challenge. I don't think
Possibly
you really see it in the
Chevy,
American one.
maybe? I'm only saying Chevy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing just due to IndyCar. Because obviously they only have 2 engines in IndyCar, which is Chevy and Honda. So... Maybe?
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
I mean, who...
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because, yeah, it's one of them. Right, next topic of conversation is, has Max done enough to overcut Diz? No, Diz and Tim are through by they are through by a mile here.
Yeah, they're long gone. Max has not really had the pace or the... My computer just randomly died on me there. Fabulous. Yeah, he's not really had the pace compared to the guys in front, and I think he's just not been able to fight.
Kieran,
I think he's just here to just make up the numbers now.
Kieran's sticking to the back of Richie Michelle slightly, but Kieran's got a lot of damage on that Ford. I'm surprised Kieran hasn't put it into the pitch yet. 31 people currently watching the stream. That is fantastic. Guys and girls, hit that thumbs up button, hit the bell to be notified, and hit that subscribe button. We're 3 subscribers away, or we was before tonight's stream, 3 subscribers away from 750, a milestone we're next looking at. Also, while you're in that description, please go and check out our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing and much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Go over to their Facebook page, the link is in the description, and head over to Audio Sports as well, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling, as Kieran nearly loses it on the curb. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk or also check out their Facebook page as well. While the race carries on, Dennis Hansen, John Gooday, Mirko Ritchie all enter the pit lane. Richie, Michelle and Kieran losing out, and Tim's now back just under a second on the rear of Diz. But this battle really has ebbed and flowed, hasn't it? Because Diz looked in control until that bit of contact with Tim. That's a drive-through penalty for track limits for Diego Flores. He's down in last anyway, so it's not going to make too much difference there. And Plava, but you see how our wonderful commentators ignore my overtake because it was so good. I'm the wrong pit. Don't know what overtake you're on about. Good evening to our GT4 champion in Tibbs.
I think it was...
Tim. Did he refer to the Nürburgring one?
I think he was referring to the one where it was a bit questionable.
Well, that was Hockenheim. If he's on about Nürburgring, then that was also questionable. Sparky Gamer as well.
The whole season was questionable.
Yeah. There's a sick onboard of him lapping it in throttle blipping away. That's about center. Time for Richie to run late and not change tyres. Get the lead, worth the risk in the last race, in my opinion. That, though, Mike, would be if Diz and Tim didn't change tyres. Let's wait and see who did that. Who has done that? That is Diego
I think
Flores
that's outrageous if they haven't changed tyres. This
massively so. On a circuit like this at 42 degrees track temp.
Yeah.
If you haven't changed tyres, yeah.
You're mad. I mean, I've tried it once this season and it bit me in the bum quite badly on a circuit.
Two 20-minute races in GT4 last night, you started to really feel the tyres die at the end of the race. So there is no way these guys aren't changing tyres. It's the way look at the way the corners are designed. Like we've said, it's bike corners. So the way they're designed is they're going to hurt road tyres and car tyres more than what they're going to hurt bike tyres. So you're bound to change in this race. Richie, Michelle and Argent into the pits. Well, he can't win the race if Tiz and Tim's already got past him. But according to my screen, and yes, this is true, Gomez has passed Max Mulder. He is ahead of him.
So Max has possibly had some form of moment or issue because he did come out the pits in front of Gomez. So the Mustang possibly on for a podium here. I'm not going to curse him by saying let's go Mustang, but Gomez coming back out, and Richie Michelle isn't a million miles behind them either. He exits pit lane. And they're going into turn 2, and he's now approaching turn 2.
I think Max has had a moment because unless Richie has done the crazy thing of not changing tyres, I think he's had a moment. Diego Flores now a lap down. Yeah.
We want to see a rally league. Who's with
We tried that. We tried
that.
Project Cars 2, and we didn't get the people sign up. Yeah, which is why we can't really advertise anything to you about fun events in the off-season, because We didn't really get the sign-ups last season, so we're not sure if they do.
Going back to this comment about Ayrton Senna and the Acura NSX.
Yeah.
They said they helped develop the NSX. He helped tune it, by what I've read here online.
That's good enough.
The developers was actually Honda Motor Company of North America design team and the Italian engineering firm. I'm not even going to attempt to say that name.
So the Acura NSX is developed by Honda Motor Company,
Northern America Honda.
Yeah, and Italians. Right.
Yeah, and it was tuned by Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, okay, so... right, okay, so...
So you're taking a Japanese car, shipped it to America and got a Brazilian to test it.
Changed its name to make loads of money, get North Americans and Italians to do it, get the Brazilian to test it, and think, yeah, that'll do. Oh dear.
The original NSX is
Project
better
Cars
than the new
2,
one.
Project Cars 2, the Acura NSX, trash. Assetto Corsa Competizione. The Honda NSX, decent, because it was tested by the Japanese.
It was tested by Honda. And what have they won recently? Oh, Formula 1.
Yes.
Yeah, Diz still leading the way, and Tim Venting's gap, it just seems to be ebbing and flowing between them. And Max Mulder is back on the back of Gomez, and are really hustling the back of Gomez, to be fair.
Yeah, he is. Abby Blackford. Diz is in the lead. Indeed, he is, and hopefully he can stay there for the rest of this race. He's had a good race, hasn't he? He's been under pressure from Tim, but not massively.
It's been controlled, is the best way I would put it. It's been controlled. But to be fair, this race has been quite stale. When
you look at last week's hour race, where it was action for the whole hour, and then you look at this one, big contrast. Big contrast. Yeah, it is indeed.
Yes, it is a big contrast, and as Mike says, Tim seems to have serious pace, but it only seems to be serious when it's the early part of the laps with fresh tyres, and I think that's what he has done. And as soon as the tyres die, he's got no answer, while the BMW seems to be a little bit more consistent with it, and again, just gone on board with Tim. He's more sideways than actually going forward, so I think, again, he's just pushing too hard, and Diz has just got an answer now. He knows exactly what he's going to do. Max Mulder, meanwhile, is right behind Gomez, but can't do anything about it, because that Mustang is a beast in a straight line. But into the corners, it seems to struggle. Can the McLaren slither his way up the inside of turn 2? No, he can't, and the longer these two take... It's going to help Richie Michelle.
Yeah, exactly. Abby Blackford.
Who's not really catching him at all.
No, 2.9 seconds. We keep our eyes on that. So Abby is the wife of Diz, so hence why she's cheering him on. Sparking Gamer. It's my wife was cheering me on. She said she was on the poker. Good support there, Mike. Good support there.
Even my partner comes in and gives me support. Don't worry, Mike, I'll give you support tomorrow night for the last time this season.
Oh dear. Either way, Max Mulder is still hunting down the back of that Mustang. You just see the differences here in the McLaren to the Mustang. It's just so clear in the corners that the McLaren is the better car as he's looking each way to Sunday to try and get past him. Richie Michelle gained a couple of tenths, and that is it. I don't know if Diego Flores has retired from this race with his drive-through, but hasn't returned to the track since getting it. Gomez a little sideways. That gives Max the run. And the momentum is going to go the way of Max, and Gomez can't do anything about it. You just see he's able to hang in there because that Mustang's great top speed. But Max Mulder gets the job done, manages to put a bit of gap between them as he comes through the final corner. But this is where the Mustang, look, is already gaining on the back of Max Mulder. And will Gomez pull out to that inside line of turn 1? I don't think he's going to get close enough, and he's not.
I don't think that's the confidence. That's the problem. Although they can get close, they just doesn't have the confidence to attack in turn 1. The pit window has now closed. And Empire was saying in the chat, Dan just agreed that the BMW is the best car. No, not at all.
John Gooday was on the back of Argent, come through that little chicane before the final corner, has now been off the road. Justin Winter now gets a drive-through penalty for track limits. So his night goes from bad to worse, and he's currently down in P10. But John Gooday lost a lot of time there after being in the wall.
Ouch. I'm not sure where this BMW comment has come from, but I don't agree that the BMW is the best car.
He's got a thing for the BMW, and he has had since it came out on PC, and me and him did an endurance race in it. And since then, he seems to love it.
I don't know, talking about the Lamborghini's the best car.
Tracy says that she loves watching racing at the moment. I grew up watching it with her dads. That's, I think, as we all did, probably, didn't we? Grew up all watching the racing with our dads and parents and enjoying it.
My very first memory, I think it was either 2002 or 2003, getting up ridiculously early to watch the Australian Grand Prix and watching Schumacher completely and utterly destroy it.
I'd go back earlier. I'll go back earlier than that, but then again, I am a bit older.
Not by much.
No, a couple of years. My earliest memory of track is 1999. Touring car, Donington Park.
I mean, like, you know, actual physically see it in my mind. But, yeah, I mean, fair play. I mean, I've even been to the 2005 British Grand Prix and watched Juan Pablo Montoya destroy that.
Montoya won that year. Fernando won the championship.
Whatever year it was when Montoya absolutely blitzed it. It was the most boring race I've ever seen, and I was there.
Tim now right on the back of Diz, coming into the middle sector of this lap. Jamie Brazy's in the check, leaving it to him.
He'll probably correct me on my F1 knowledge.
Justin Winter.
He'll probably tell me what boxes Juan Pablo Montoya, what colour they were.
Yeah, they was yellow, I'm guessing. Justin Winter's in for his drive-through.
I'm going to guess purple.
He might not have wore any, you know, lightweight and all that lot.
Yeah. This chat has got completely bonkers.
It's just gone, hasn't it? With the race dulling down a little bit, it's just gone.
Oh God.
Yes, you're right, Plava. I did. Either way, Tim Ventick 3/10 on the back of Diz for the lead of this race. Justin Winter's just come out of the pits in front of him after doing his drive-through penalty and get straight out of the way. Doesn't want a part of that. That'll probably put the end of Justin Winter's season. You know, he was fighting for that top 5 spot, top 4 spot, and hasn't gone his way with the ban. And then, you know, not the best showing in race 2 for Justin Winter. All that Porsche, but it's really this battle BMW fight that's been raging on. We've got John Goodey on the rear of Mirko Ricci as well, further down the pack. That is for 11th and 12th. Mirko very, very deep, gets a bit of a slide, round she goes. And Mark Tucker may want a piece of that. No, he's managed to hold on to it and keep going, but John Goodey has got ahead. So that battle's ended. And Gomez, 6
Diz has run wide.
Max.
Diz has run wide, and Tim Venting looked like he was going to go up the inside, but has a poor exit as well. Is he going to send it once again into this hairpin? He does make contact!
Twice.
Tim Venting has hit Diz in the same corner. He's going to have to wait for Diz to get going once again, but in the same corner twice, Tim Venting has made contact with Diz, and both of them are going to be carrying that damage now.
Yeah, and he lets Diz go, but how many times can you make the same mistake into one corner? You had the run on. In fact, he was behind Diz as well, so you had that momentum out the corner. You lost it coming down the hill, and late on the brakes into the back of Diz once again. He gives the place back, but not what you want to see at all. I believe the chat is now turning to what colour Plava's pants was or seat was after he took over from me in a Spa 24-hour race.
No, I think that Jamie commenting on
on Montoya's pants. Right,
on Montoya's pants. Yeah, and he believes they were brown. I wouldn't believe they were brown. He had it pretty easy, so. I mean, it's been.
Unless he had a scary moment somewhere, you know, maybe not.
Yeah. Maybe Gary might have brown pants after he's older, but especially Diz, and I think Paul Williams just probably made a hole in his pants. Where were we?
DJ Phil's just cursed you in the chat, by the way. That's terrible. Danny's going to get a drive-through penalty tomorrow. That's shocking.
I'm ignoring that comment.
Yeah, that is terrible. Back to the action though. Diz has once again got Tim on the back of him, 0.7 of a second. In front of Diz, and Diz may now just start to struggle. That's 2 taps on the rear, and the rear of the cars, you don't want the damage here. If you get the damage, you don't mind it as much on the front end. Justin Winter very wide up front, I believe. Is he getting blue flags? I'm not sure if I saw one of the stewards waving a blue flag there, so he's probably trying to get out of the way, but the other two are a little slow at the moment, obviously with a bit of damage to their cars. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Cannot wait for Season 6 to get underway. Get off to a good start, says DJ Phil. You want to stick to either pad or wheel. Keeps mixing between the both.
I've never been a fan of the BMW. I totally agree. Absolutely agree.
I can't stand them unless it's on this game.
British touring car BMW is mighty, especially a blue Laser Tools one.
Go the high on dice.
Going to win the. It's going to. Actually, I'm going to end up back in one.
Go the high on dice.
I might go BMW now.
Don't say BMW, because Jamie Brazier kicked off about Jake Hill at Knock Hill when we was there a few weeks ago.
Jake Hill is probably the best touring car driver that's currently on the grid at the minute. Fact. So if Jamie done like that, he can eat
go back to
Montoya's brown pants. Meanwhile, Gomez is back on the rear wing of Max Mulder and hunting him down. We will get back to normal sessions here and talk about the racing, and Gomez goes very wide.
This just had a huge twitch a moment ago, just coming out the corner trying to lap Justin Winter, nearly clipped the rear of Justin Winter. Goes a little deep again, but it looks like he's going a little deep and bringing it back in on the hairpin then before they come downhill to the other hairpin. And Richie Michel's now on the back of Gomez, who's on the back of Max Mulder as well. So little trio going on it, but Max keeps seeming to gap Gomez. Then he must be making a small mistake somewhere, because he keeps seeing that gap go up and then come back down.
Yeah, I think, well, obviously as you were watching Diz, that fight I was watching, and Gomez got really close. It just seems to be the middle sector where the Mustang seems to struggle.
Comment. I'll let you read it. Yeah, good.
I mean, this is the man that's not won a pro championship.
Yeah, no, nonsense like that gets removed. Diz and Tim Benting, they've put the lap on Justin Winter. Richie Michel's now within 2/10 of that of Naval Gomez, but this is where Gomez can pull away and can easily, start to gap that Ferrari. Not with an exit like that though, because look at Richie Michel close onto the back of the Ford Mustang with a better exit out the final corner. Now down the start straight they come. Here comes Richie Michel. Just keeps trying to pull out and to get up the inside, but can't because the Mustang's pulled away from him.
Yeah, every time he gets out of the slipstream, he just gets hit with a wall of air, and that just slows the Ferrari down once again. And yeah, it's just slowing him down, and he just needs to. What if I was Gomez right now? I'd let the Ferrari go and attack Max Mulder, give him a hard time, and he'll then pick up the pieces, because he clearly can't get him in the corners.
Yeah. So
why not use the Ferrari in an advantage behind him and then pick up the pieces after?
Yeah, I agree. Who knows? He might just do that in a few moments' time. This is helping Max Mulder out, though, who seemed to struggle in this second race. Just pull away a little bit from these two. The top two are still separated by half a second. Not really much else happening down the order in this race at the moment, as we've got, just under 14 minutes left to go in this race. And we'll see what happens as they come through. But we're currently watching the Richie Michel Gomez battle here, coming through the hairpin once again. Richie Michel right on that rear wing of the Ford Mustang, and it is just that acceleration out the corners of the Ford that is allowing it to just stay in front. Oh, he gets a little drifty through the chicane area, and it nearly makes the mistake.
Nearly does indeed, but this has all just allowed Max Mulder to disappear. Meanwhile, your top two have pretty much stayed like this throughout most of the session, also, John Goudet has now caught onto the back of Mark Tucker, so possibly looking to make an opportunity to get himself up into the top 11. Yeah. But and then quite a bit away from the back of the Jackal. But Goudet trying everything he possibly can just to score a couple more points here and there.
Just needs him, doesn't he? Just wants them couple of points to get this season out of the way. Let's have a conversation about John Goudet a second then. Do we think he should have stayed in that Mercedes?
I honestly don't know. The Mercedes, I think, very much suited his...
Well, that's a strange overtake. He's hit the brakes. The car's gone sideways as he turns into the final corner. Tucker stayed very wide. How they've not made contact. Tucker's got back through, but... was John there all sorts of sideways as Richie Michel's got past Naval Gomez. Sorry, Dan, carry on.
Yeah, I don't honestly know. I think Goudet, it was... he seemed to be quite comfortable in the Mercedes. I think outright pace, it probably wouldn't have stand as well as the Aston Martin, but I think just... I don't know. I honestly don't know. You know, you could play devil's advocate and say yes, possibly, but I think realistically, he seems to like a front-engine car. Maybe the BMW would have been more suited to him, possibly. But I know he doesn't like to go the same thing as everybody else, and he goes very, very wide trying to find a way past Tucker. But Yeah, possibly the BMW would have been more his style, is what I would have probably said, or even the Lexus.
Going off the front engine cars with the BOP coming in next year, is that going to bring the Lexus and the Bentley possibly into
Bentley
contention here?
Definitely, yeah, Bentley definitely, but the Lexus, I think the problem with the Lexus, and I'll always have this problem, you can't change the liveries. Now, unless you're willing to just sit there and happily drive it for the pure fun of it and enjoy the car, then the Lexus is still a brilliant choice. I thoroughly enjoy the Lexus, and I can pretty much match most of my lap times in the Lexus. So it's a very, very good race car. And it's also, I think it's the fastest in a straight line out of every single car in the game. So it's got the top speed, and it's got the handling to go with it. So the Lexus isn't a bad shout, and I believe, what was Ripper's teammate? I can't remember his teammate now.
Killer Camel.
Killer Camel. He seemed to make the Lexus work really well in Pro, and yeah, I think the Lexus is a very underrated car. Meanwhile, Tim Bentinck is as close as he's ever been. He's within 0.2 of Diz going towards turn number 1 with 10.5 minutes still to go, and Tim Bentinck looking for a possible chance to take the race lead back away from Diz. But he can't seem to do it in turn 1, and is going to have to sit behind that BMW once again. Now they've got some traffic ahead of them of, I believe, Mirko Ricci.
Yeah, it is Mirko Ricci just in front of Tim. He's pretty much pushing Diz through this next part of the lap. He's right with him. Was that a little tap now? I think it was the bump of the grass, because I saw the dirt get kicked up there by Diz's car coming through the first of the two right-handers. Diz manages to just extend that gap a little bit over Tim as they come up through the next part of the lap. Tim is pretty much pushing him through these last couple of corners here, Dan. He's got a great bit of momentum with him.
Yeah, he has indeed, and he's just looking for any opportunity now just to find his way through it. Tim sends it up the inside but goes too deep, and that's going to allow Diz to come back underneath S2 and Borobex to drive through after working his way all the way back up to 6th. But this is where Tim sends up the inside into the hairpin and makes contact with Diz. This time he learns his mistakes and doesn't make contact with the BMW, but that was probably Tim's best attack, and he's probably overheated those tyres now.
Yeah, he probably has. It's a shame, but again, you know, that was close to being in the same place as last time. Tracy saying that I don't know if this is considered the racing car you're talking about, but my favourite car is the Corvette. I don't mind the Corvette. Seen it in the American GT. I wished it came with the Ford Mustang to ACC, because it was a fantastic car in the American GT, and it's only getting stronger each time they develop that car. So that's interesting to see. John Gooday's got it clear of Mark Tucker. That move has happened at turn 1, so these are coming up to be lapped by Tim and Diz as well. But yeah, Diz kind of read that one, didn't he, Dan? He saw Tim coming from a long way back and allowed him to get that inside line, and contact wasn't made, and Diz just took back underneath.
Yeah, he saw that coming from a mile away and just knew that if he let him run wide, he could get the undercut and get back underneath. It was then the hairpin afterwards that he seemed a little bit more nervous, which he should be, because that's where Tim's made contact with him at least twice. So that's just the middle sector seems to be where Tim is at his strongest here. The Ferrari just able to just stick with the BMW, and at the minute he is literally glued to the rear wing of that BMW.
Got to be careful though as well, because they're getting up to the back of a back marker of Mirko Ricci, so don't want to start to make any dives onto the to try and get past Diz, as there's a back marker there. You don't want to get too close to him and end up tapping the back marker there then. DJ Phil, don't know how many points you're losing. I suppose 113, because that's what you could have got if you'd have won both races, pole and 2 fastest laps. I suppose that's what you've lost. I don't know in terms of who or what you're on about. But this, I'll be saying this could end in tears as Borobex completes his drive. This could easily end in tears right now. We've seen contacts made twice by these two cars, and we could easily see it again here.
He's got a great run here. Tim's got a great run going into the final corner, and Diz allowing him racing room, gives him the space up the inside. Diz is going to have better run out the corner though, and they're side by side going down the start-finish straight. And we saw going into turn 1 that Diz had the grip, had the confidence going into turn 1. Will he have that again? And he's got a back marker right in front of him. He'll have slight advantage with the slipstream, and Tim drops in behind.
Yeah, does it before they enter the corner of turn 1. But Tim, you just saw there, just kind of like bumped, didn't he, over the curve, and that's what cost that momentum through the final corner for Tim Bentinck here. But Tim's the man who's on a bit of form. He looks like he's the one who's trying to impress here, as he's trying to get onto the back of the BMW and get ahead of Diz for sure. This seems to be where Diz is struggling now in the middle section of the lap. This makes me wonder now, did Diz change tyres?
I think they both did. They came out relatively close. I think they've both changed tyres. I think it's just there's that much it's just that hot. They're just now starting to suffer. Now they're racing hard, and Mirko Ricci really needs to get out of the way. And again, Tim Venting, more contact with Diz.
That's a third time.
He's actually gone round this time.
He has, but that's 4 times he's dive bombed twice in the same, 2 times in both sections at the same place. And it just smells of desperation from Tim Venting there. You've tried it 4 times, 3 times previously. It hasn't came off. What makes a 4th time look like it's going to work anymore? It's silly driving from Tim Venting there. 4 times he's tried the dive bomb, 4 times it's failed, 3 times with contact. Mirko moves out the way of their Nada Diz. We've got Burrabex, who's came out the pit lane and is right on the back of the Jackal, both suffering with damage. Jackal was in the wall, if I remember, earlier in this race, and that rear wing
indeed.
looks to all be on the rear, because somehow, God knows how this works, but somehow he's got damage on the inside of his rear wing by the windscreen. Work that one out.
No idea. No idea. It makes no sense whatsoever. And Tim's fellow teammate Tibbs in the chat saying no, Tim. Tim, no, and a good battle between these two. It was a good battle, but it just seems to start to get a little frustration between these two. And I think now Tim has really kind of just blown it now for him. It's 2.3 he has to make. Yeah, his tyres are done. A bit of damage now as well. SM Burrabex is trying to find a way through on the Jackal, and that's now your closest fight on track.
Jackal's just gone a little deep down coming through the hairpin, and this is where the Burrabex is now going to be able to excuse me, to try and capitalise, but both with damage, one on the rear, one on the front. Burrabex he's had pace tonight, but I think this race too, he went off early doors of the race and has been fighting to come through the pack, and it's just cost him every time he has tried to come through. Then the drive-through penalty. Burrabex has been lined up for driver of the day if he'd have got a top 5 in this second race, because I think he's had a great performance. But you know, more places for him, a couple more points at the end of this one. He's right on the rear wing of the Jackal now as they head in towards turn 1. Not close enough yet to make a move. Possibly going to look to get that run up the inside into turn 2. I tell you what, Valencia camera angles are not the best. Let's say that one.
They give me Mazzano vibes.
Yeah.
Some of these cameras.
Yeah.
But it just seems to just pan at the wrong time, especially the middle sector seems to be very terrible. Jackal's gone wide, and SM Burrabex possibly sniffing up an opportunity there, but he was able to collect it up and manage to stay ahead. But it gives me Valencia vibes, very still, not a lot of movement, not a lot of camera following, and it's not very good for the streaming. And now the admins are probably going to have a discussion and saying, let's ban Valencia just for camera reasons. But there is a poll going out at the minute for driver of the day. Make sure you get your votes in on that. And also, while you're at it as well, if you do want to be a part of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport, in 5 weeks' time, we'll be racing once again. Possibly the GT4s might return, where obviously it's something that the admins will have to discuss if it will come back. But the Pro-Ams will be back, as will the Pros. And like I said, the calendar is starting to shape up very nicely. As you can tell, most of the admins are British, and already some British circuits have wormed their way in. I'm not going to say that I have, but either way, I've gone completely...
down under?
What's the saying? Down under. Yeah, that's the one. I've gone completely down under with this one.
Oh, I wonder what that is.
It could be from the land of the rising sun.
One of them is. One of them is.
Probably the two. The two circuits that probably are the most demanding are back on the calendar, I would say.
And then we go to another bike circuit.
We go back to
which one of the two it is, you know, take your pick. But so what we've done is the 4 admins have got to pick a circuit this season. So that was myself, Hypertech, Dan, and Mike. The 2 patrons of Insert Coin and Phil Raiden, PN Motorsport, they got to pick a circuit, and then we let the drivers choose a track, and then the wheel of names will pick the rest. So, you know, at the minute it looks like Kyle Army's possibly going to go on the calendar through driver's choice. God help us with the other 4 or 5, whatever there is left to pick, because the wheel of names could give us anything. Nordschleife not included in this, by the way.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, these guys are struggling with Valencia, let alone the Nordschleife. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Tim, meanwhile, is really struggling now. He's gone very wide just behind.
Apologies, sorry. I've just pressed on Richie there, thinking Richie was close to second, wondering what had happened.
Yeah, I read the same thing.
Yeah. No, Mike's on about for driver of the day.
Yeah, I've done the exact same thing there. But it's going to be an interesting calendar for sure. Like I said, we've got a bike circuit. We've got a circuit that's got probably the most dangerous curve in history returning. So if you're in a Chevy Camaro, that's probably the only car that'll probably survive it.
Maybe the Bentley.
Touch, you know.
Hey, the Ford. The Ford could be one.
Tracy says, "Let me pick."
I'd be an interesting one.
I'm intrigued to know what Tracy would pick. Tracy, let's hear what you would pick. As leader starts his final lap of the race, Matt, obviously because it's the end of the season, we're going to wrap this up relatively quickly, the race itself. Your driver of the day, man, because it's been an interesting night's worth of racing. I know who I've got in mind, yeah, your driver of the day.
I'd have given it Sam, but he's had a poor race too. I'd have given it Diz, but he's had a poor race one. I'd have given it Tim, but he's made too many mistakes this race. So I'm with Max Mulder.
You're going Max Mulder. I'm going Diz for this one.
Oh!
Assetto, Borobex and Jackal. Big incident there. And Jackal's right into the wall. And John Gude with a drive-through penalty and allowing the leaders through as well. Is really he could have got something there, I think Diz driver of the day. This has been a fantastic defensive drive here for me.
I think he's been good. I think I'd have given it him had it not been for his first race, and same with Borobex had it not been for his second race. But I don't know, Max. He's not looked comfortable, but he's done just enough in this one. But what a day, what a drive really for Diz. Great second race. He's not actually had a win for a while, is Diz. When was the last time Diz won a race? Would it have been back early?
I mean, at the minute he's swooping the votes. There's been 7 votes, and all 100%
I say
have
that
gone
Diz
the way
won
of
race
Diz.
one apparently of Zolder, so it's it was only last week that he had his last race win. But Diz is swooping the votes. He's put on a stellar defensive drive. You can't knock his race 2 here as Cranky Duckhead's cutting across the corner at the final corner here. That's probably had a mistake and is letting the leaders go. But Diz then will take the final race win of the season here, and he wins the race and from Tim Ventink in that second place. Max Mulder way behind at the minute is going to be in P3. Mirko Ricci has finished down the order in P11. Mark Tucker has crossed the line in P12. John Gooday crossed the line P13. Justin Winter will be 40th place. Max Mulder though 3rd. Richie Michelle P4. Good drive from him. Then it's going to be Gomez for P4 for Richie Michelle. P5 for Gomez it's going to be. Good drive from him in this one. Really good stuff from the Ford Mustang driver who pushed Max hard in this race. Dennis Hansen, bit of a quiet one for him, but to end his season P6, I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Brian Craig is a shout for a driver that has done really well this season. He's been fantastic. He's going to come to the line for P7. Good end to his night. We're going to get Kieran Argent then in that P8 in his Ford Mustang. Jackal looks like he's going to come across for P9. And Borobex is already a little bit behind in that P10 area. We've then already had the lapped cars cross the line. Mirko Ricci 11th, Mark Tucker 12th, John Gooday 13th, Justin Winter 14th, Cranky Duckhead 15th, Diego Flores retired from the race. And what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the Discord call as we have got Diz on the podium. We could possibly speak to some Xbox drivers, so we'll see you in just a moment. So then we are back in the Discord call for the final interviews of the season, and what a race it's been, what a day it's been for all the drivers out there on this circuit. It's been a fantastic second race and a fantastic season from the Pro-Am. I believe we have Dan Davis there. Dan?
Hello.
Dan Davis, he can hear us now, and I believe we're just going to wait for drivers to come into the comms box for interviews. Max Mulder is in, and Dan, I'll let you take us away with the start of Max Mulder.
Max, we'll start things off. Obviously, it's been a fantastic season for yourself. It's been very dominant. Let's first talk about this race. It didn't seem to go your way this evening. It didn't seem to have the pace of Diz and Richie Michelle or your teammate Tim. But nonetheless, 2 decent points positions there, and just a great way to end your season.
Yeah, my pace was not very good, and I was also not pushing to the limit because I have nothing to win anymore. Only it's nice to have a podium, but I also made the setup myself, and I learned some things that mid race that was not the best one. So yeah, at the end of the day, it was very good for learning things on the game, and
Hmm.
also race one was not too bad with P2, and then race two E3, but I think I will get a penalty because I hit Hachi Michel. Um, that was all my fault. I just didn't realize he was going a little bit slower than me in that corner, so that was a little bit. Um, yeah, that was not nice because he's also fighting for P2 in a championship with my teammates. So that yeah, it doesn't feel good that I did that, but yeah, at the end, I just made a mistake.
Obviously, that's down to Richie wants to put it in the stewards room, but it's down to him at the end of the day. But nonetheless, mate, let's talk about your season in general. It's been nice having you back at the top once again. Obviously, the last time you won a championship was in the Pro-Am category. Obviously, well deserved as well. And you're now looking to go into Pro. First thing, sum up the season for you and the challenge of going into Pro next season.
Yeah, I hope we can do good there. We showed some pace in the Pro Am on some tracks that we are quick. So I hope me and Tim both can do good there.
And just talk about your season in general. It's been a fantastic season. Obviously, Diz not being able to make most of this season. Tim having a couple of races missed out as well. But for yourself, it's just been phenomenal and a great drive in the McLaren. And are you planning to stick with the McLaren?
Yeah, the season was good, but uh, I think the McLaren cost me some points because it's not the best car I for me because it's very loose car with all setups. I got feeling for that. So yeah, it's going to be a switch of car, but I'm not sure which car.
I think it might be something Italian, possibly.
German?
German. Oh, that's very interesting. But nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the championship and also the constructors. You've been phenomenal this season, and we're very much looking forward to seeing you up in pro with your good friend Sky.
Yeah, thank you.
And we move on to your second place man, the second half of the BSP pairing. Tim, race one went to plan, and race two just could not seem to find a way past on Diz. He just seemed to have an answer in every single situation. But nonetheless, you've got to be very happy to end the season with the two fastest laps, a race win, and a second place. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy for sure. Second place in the championship as well. So yeah, not much I can complain about. It's just well, it's unfortunate. I felt like I was quicker all race, but yeah, the BMW is just so much quicker on the straights and on power. Um, yeah, we had a few moments of contact as well, and I didn't want to pass him like that, so waited every time. But yeah, good race nonetheless.
Yeah, it just seemed like the BMW seemed to have general race pace over the Ferrari. Was it just also the dirty air possibly starting to affect, and was the tyres just starting to struggle towards the end of that race as well?
Yeah, I pitted very early to try and undercut him, but yeah, I mean, he went a lap later, so it didn't really work. And in clean air, my car felt perfect. Nothing to complain, but yeah, every time I was right behind him, I felt like the right side of tires just became too warm. I kept sliding, so that didn't make it very easy as well. No, he was really quick as well.
Yeah. Obviously, to top off the season, yourself and Max completely dominated the constructors, and you finished the season off with a 1-2. Just sum up the season for you, and how's the Ferrari been this season? Is it something that you're planning to keep heading into pro?
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping the Ferrari next season. It's
Uh,
it fits me quite well for my feeling. I haven't really tried any other cars like this one, but no, I'm planning on staying in Ferrari.
and obviously, just a quick chat about your teammate and your season. You two have just been very, very good this season. Set the bar for whoever then comes into Pro Am as a pairing in the teams. It's been great watching you two together.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean the teamwork was good. We're both quite quick, and yeah, I'm gonna have to see what I can do next season in the pro.
I was going to say, obviously the pro next season. Tell us about that challenge. How do you think you're going to handle that?
Yeah, it's quite hard to say. I feel like a race like Indianapolis, that's where I won with quite some margin. I feel like in pro I should be able to get a podium there as well. For example, or a track like this where I'm quite quick. Yeah, I feel like I should be able to do quite well.
Well, nonetheless, mate, congratulations on a fantastic season for yourself and for your teammate as well. You both have finished the season as 1-2 and took in the Constructors and Second Year Championship. So congratulations to the pair of you.
Thank you very much.
And we now move on to the winner of the feature race, Diz. Boy, that Ferrari put you under a lot of pressure tonight.
Oh, didn't he just? He was so much quicker than me, but yeah, I just had to make that BMW so big. It was so much quicker, but I had a hell of a race. I loved it. I think I'd rather be in that position than lead by 20 seconds or whatever. That's just great racing. I love that.
Obviously, like you just said, that the Ferrari just seemed to have more pace than yourself. Talk about the BMW. Was it just the race pace that saved you there and just being able to be consistent in it? It looked like Tim was having some quite leery moments towards the end of his tyre stint, but your BMW seemed quite stable throughout pretty much the entire race.
Yeah, I do love the BMW. Such a stable car, and I think it fits my sort of driving style very well. I'm not as quick as some of these boys, but I do practice on knowing how to race, and I've learned from some of the FBR lads that you don't need to be quick, you just need to be in the right position. So I just made it as difficult as I could, and that's why you saw a few moves from him where he thought he could get me where I've left the gap and sort of forced him into it because he has got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, obviously you missed quite a lot throughout the season. You've been obviously quite busy with other things. You finished 4th in the championship, which could possibly end up putting you in the pro category on a Thursday night. Would you be sticking with the BMW when you return, or would you think of something else?
Yeah, I think with my work and stuff, I don't have enough time to learn a new car. I'm happy with it as it is. I mean, I don't need to be as quick as some of these lads. I know Tim doing a 31.6 or whatever he did was ridiculous. I was never doing that in a BMW, so I knew I had to get it in the first corner, and I think I'll stick with it.
Well, obviously, like I said, possibly a promotion up into pro. A quick chat on that. How would you think you would do in the pro category?
I think I'll have fun. I mean, I'm not too fussed about getting podiums or being at the top as long as I have races like I had today, whether that was P11 or P1. I just enjoy doing this, get to chat with some of my friends from FBR and just have a good time, really.
A true sportsman at that. Well, nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the race win tonight and 4th in the championship. And the poll for driver of the season has actually gone to you, so you won that as well. So the fans think that you were the man of the season. So congratulations on that one as well.
Oh, I didn't expect that, but thank you very much for voting for me. I know Steve definitely snuck a vote in for me. He definitely got one in there. So thank you very much, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this season.
Congratulations, mate, and we'll hopefully see you next season.
Hope so too. Right, take care, lads.
Cheers, and that's a wrap, Matt. That is all of them done and dusted. And as you said, Diz has won the vote of driver of the season. I'm actually going to have to go with Max Boulder for that one. I would love to say the pair of them, but Max just been a complete and utter dominant style, just like his F1 compatriot. So yeah, Max for me, driver of the season.
It's hard to look past Max Mulder as the championship winner, isn't it, for driver of the season? But either way, that's the way the season's worked, and that's the way the season has gone. It has been a fantastic year from all in this championship, and it's been an interesting one for sure to see what's happened, and we'll see what we do as we go through the rest of the season. With now. It's a long wait now until the next stages. That is the championship over. That is what we have to deal with now.
We do get to go again, and God knows what the calendar will be. It will be released fairly shortly, but we do know it's going to be a roller coaster of a ride, quite literally. But we'll see how that all pans out. But it's definitely going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting how the top boys of the Pro-Am category will handle in the Pro category as well. We'll just have to see who signs up next season and what cars get choiced, and also the BOP system as well is very much going to play a lot in its pass as well.
Yeah. Let's see what happens with that. Your final tables, though, obviously all provisional at the moment while tickets get sorted. But Max Mulder, as we know, champion already.
Let's see what happens with that. Your final tables, though, obviously all provisional at the moment while tickets get sorted. But Max Mulder, as we know, champion already. BSP Racing winning the Constructors' Championship. It was Tim Bentinck from Richie Michelle with P8 finishing P4 ahead of John Goodey. Brian Craig got Justin Winter for 6th place.
David Gomez 13th.
Esteban Borrebex was P8 with Robert Smith in 9th. Sam was 10th. Dennis Hansen 11th ahead of Mark Tucker. David Gomez 13th from Kieran Argent with Diego Flores 15th.
Darren Bell,
Paul
P19,
Williams was
P20, Fat Bloke 21st with Mirko Ricci in 22nd, Dean was 23rd, Michael 24th, Graham 26th, Graham 25th, John Andrews 26th, Jackal 27th, Romeo 28th, Lund 29th, Dean Wisocki 30th with Nuke Quaist and Andrew Taylor rounding out the rear, and BSP Racing took the overall Constructors' Championship win over Greasy Bandits. Team Merlot finished 3rd ahead of Richie Corsa, Stage 2 Motorsport 5th with Team FBR in 6th, FSO Juniors was P7, just ahead of Retroactive Racing. Forever Forward Independent won that kind of four-way battle between them, Vorta Racing, Cool Shot Racing and Greasy Bandits Junior. But it is all time for Pro tomorrow night. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, hit the bell to be notified, and hit that subscribe button. Check out our sponsors in the description below. But it is all about Pro tomorrow night. Dan Davis versus Jamal Clouden for that Pro Championship. Can Dan make it 9? Can Jamal win his very first title? Join me and Phil Radon live at 8 PM GMT +1 live for all the action. Me and Dan, well, when we'll be back in the box next, nobody knows at the moment, but safe to be sure that in 5 weeks' time the Pro-Ams will go again. All in all, looking for a new champion with an all-new grid lineup. That'll be safe to say. No Max Mulder, no Tim Bentinck, no Diz, probably no Richie Michelle. They'll all more than likely be in the Pro category. Who will be the champion next year? There's one place to find out. That is SimPlay Motorsport. Dan, for the final time this season, my friend, we say goodnight.
We do say goodnight, and thank you all for watching. And like Matt says, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and get yourself signed up for Season 6, because it will come quicker than you think. Endurance race coming up, and also our Nations Cup as well for the GT7. We'll get that all set up and ready for you guys to sign up to. And yeah, we'll get that all ready for you. But it's been an emotional season. It's been emotional commentating once again with you, Matt. And hopefully we can do this again next season.
Yeah, indeed so. So for one final time here in the Pro-Ams, congratulations to BSP Racing, congratulations to Max Mulder, and we'll see you tomorrow night for the Pro finale. Goodbye.
Goodbye.